Hey everyone, welcome to this spooky forecast for the week ahead, starting Monday, the 28th of October, taking us all the way through to Sunday, the 3rd of November. So this is an interesting week. We've got the new moon in Scorpio on the 1st, literally the day after Halloween or All Hallows Eve or the Day of the Dead or Samhain, however you want to celebrate it or not at all even. We've got quite spooky themes this week. The sun is in the sign of Scorpio, and we've got the new moon in Scorpio, and also Mars and Pluto, the two rulers of Scorpio, go into an exact opposition on Sunday the 3rd. So we've got some very, very strong Scorpio themes, a lot of ideas of darkness, and the lengths that people will go to get their own way. This is quite a ghoulish kind of time of year, and also one that I recognize the ancestors are important. In a lot of these celebrations around the 31st, there is the idea of the thinning of the veils, that the veils between our reality and other realities, or the reality of where our ancestors are absolutely like paper thin or gossamer light, that we can just kind of commune with our ancestors. And so I think there is also a theme of timelines. So in this video, what I'm going to cover is a day-by-day forecast for all signs of the zodiac, where I'll unpack what's going on, with the planetary aspects. We've got quite a lot of really big ones in this week ahead, showing that this is a pretty important week as weeks go. And then once I've done that, I will do a sign-by-sign forecast for the week ahead. And this sign-by-sign forecast, you can use it for your sun, your moon, your ascendant, exactly what works best for you. So yeah, there's a day by day, and then your sign forecasts for your sun, your moon, and your ascendant. Hopefully that'll be useful. I will be doing a new moon forecast later on in the week, and also something separate about the Mars and Pluto opposition, where I look deep down at the patterns of it. Like, this is a really big one. It normally passes in 3 to 4 days, and yet this is going on for about 6 months or so. This is a very, very strong time. I will be looking into the timelines of what happened, has happened in previous long-term Mars Pluto oppositions. So loads going on. If you're new to this channel, my name's Louisa. Hi. This channel is about helping people feel lighter and freer, and to explore consciousness through the medium of astrology. That's what I'm doing here. So welcome. If you're coming back, thanks for coming back. I really appreciate you. So let's get cracking. Let's have a good look now. So obviously this is a little bit spooky. Like I said, we've got the moon. We start the week with the moon in Virgo. And by the end of the week, it's moved into Sagittarius. We've got the new moon here. So when we start this week, we are in a waning crescent phase, as the moon is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's that natural time in our month where we are sleepier, where we should be letting go of things, releasing things that we absolutely don't want anymore. And I think it's a really good time for gratitude, like really releasing everything, creating a vacuum for ourselves, creating space for something new to come in around the time of the new moon, which is on Friday the 1st. And thereafter we go into a growth phase. So we go into a waxing crescent, so a tiny, tiny slither that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So these are very delicate times. And as we get to the end of the week, as the crescent moon is just waxing, it's just getting slowly bigger. There is the idea of new starts, but delicate new starts. So, we are allowing the old to pass away. Perfect, really, for the Halloween theme, the Samhain theme. And then we are letting the new come in slowly. So again, a week of gratitude just sounds about right. Like I said, we've got a Scorpio moon on the day of Halloween, which is absolutely very Halloween. Then we got the new moon, and then the Mars-Pluto opposition on Sunday the 3rd. So you can see, the first part of this week is about really letting go, and then the true full force of the Scorpio energy is just really coming in from Thursday the 31st. I don't know about you or how you celebrate Halloween. I know it's really big in some cultures, but from my perspective, I always think be careful what you wish for. I never dress up like a ghoul or pretend to be a ghoul, because I don't know. For me, it feels almost. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you feel this as well. I don't know, but I always think the amount of effort that's put into this time of year and the amount of funding and kind of media interest, and how Halloween has been sort of created for people in our popular culture. I always think there's something slightly odd about it, almost as if it's a time where your consciousness can be kind of grasped at if you're dressed in a sort of like slightly demonic or slightly spooky way. So I always avoid that, and I spend the time actually in intention and prayer and like laying grids around my house and stuff. I always think it's a time to, like if you can't differentiate between real ghoulish people and then people who are dressed up, I think that is a time of slight danger. I think, with the veils being thin, it's a time not to invite your worst nightmare into your life, but a time to actually connect with your ancestors, which I actually think is the real, like when the veils are thin and you can talk to other worlds, why not, share in the bliss of it, or share in the joy of it, or share in the learning of it, the mentors of our ancestors that have come before us. So yeah, we talk about our ancestors around this time, and try and learn from them, and so on and so forth. But I'm always fascinated by how everyone else does it. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. I'd love that, because I never really know how on point I am and how like way off the mark I am. So yeah, they're just my own thoughts. So anyway, let's have a look at this a little bit deeper. So each of these days, I've marked down the most important aspects. They're slightly coded now because there's so many of them, and I've put a little sort of clue as to what each of these days might represent. So as we're going into Monday the 28th, what I really notice is we're feeling a little insecure. Venus is in a square to Saturn, so we feel a little bit colder than usual. We might be making decisions not in integrity with who we are. We might be slightly cold, cut off from the consequences. Venus and Saturn in these hard aspects are deeply unfriendly, but also feel very insecure about themselves. So you might feel like you're trying to connect with people, but other people around you are cutting you off. And again, I would always ask, well, where are you judging the other person? Where are you judging yourself? Because judgments are a real Saturn theme. And I really think that judgments, if you have judgments about somebody else, that other person will feel those, especially really sort of intuitive empaths will. But then you've also got Mars in a trine to Neptune. Now, as I go through this, I will demonstrate on a chart that we've got a grand trine really between Mars, Neptune and Mercury that's kind of coming in and forming and then kind of dissolving. Now, this is quite faithful. There is this idea of your what's good for your soul. And what you might take good action on. You might be a lot more active in terms of your intuition. So that's good. But there is this kind of underlying insecurity on this particular day. And again, this isn't necessarily just for you, but for everyone. This is like, if we were talking about the water that fish were swimming in, like we're all in an aquarium, in our collective waters on Monday the 28th, there's a little handful or sprinkling of insecurity, but there is also this need to grow, this desire to really grow as a person. We've also got the moon in a square with Jupiter and in opposition to Neptune, which can inflame our feelings of possibly feeling disconnected, and brings in themes of kind of pride, as well. You know, moon in a square to Jupiter can be very, very proud and a bit foolish. But then we've also got supportive aspects from the moon in a sextile to Mercury and also in a trine to Uranus. So the conversation can definitely flow on that day, but be easy on yourself, you know, like don't really push yourself. But yeah, I think this is a good day for journaling, definitely, like for understanding things at a deeper level. You know, your dedication to your soul's journey is important this week, which is like kind of funny, given, you know, the sort of celebrations that people are about to engage in. Then on Tuesday the 29th, we've got an interesting time. So the moon in a trine to Pluto is strong. You know, it is giving us like these feelings of realizations. We've got the moon going into Libra, which is very much about balance, but then the moon in a conjunction with the south node and opposite the north node. So there's a connection to memories. And I think, you know, with the nodes and also the idea of Pluto, there's this kind of idea of timelines, like where are we in our timeline? You know, I do think, you know, at the time of the ancestral meetup, that could be Halloween or Samhain or the Day of the Dead. You know, I really do see that we are the leading edge of our family's timelines. You know, like if you look at ancestral paths, and if you're also a parent or going to be a parent, or if you've got children, you know, they're actually at the leading edge of the family timeline and you're kind of playing your part. But, you know, we are not only working on our own timelines, we're not only working on our own evolution. This is just my opinion, by the way, but we are working on behalf of our collective. Are you right now, in the way you're behaving, are you bringing your timeline forward? Are you raising your family name up, or are you demolishing it because of your behaviors? You know, I'm pretty sure everyone watching this will be raising it up, but you know, the question is still worthy of, you know, of being asked. You know, are you feeling ashamed? Is there some shame in some of your actions recently? And if so, where and why? You know, if there's something that's gone on that feels slightly shameful, which again could be moon trine Pluto, because Pluto can transform you and it can transform the darkness of you. But anywhere where you've done something that really doesn't fit or match your moral compass, the idea of who you are right now, is likely to really grate. And so you might want to pay a bit of attention to that before Thursday and Friday, you know, at the time, like this new moon, which I'll be talking about in a separate video. This new moon is very, very intuitive and psychic. And picks up on a lot. So I do think our connection to what has been and what is coming is much stronger than usual. And it is the right time to look at which direction you're going, and readjust your compass, like set your compass for the direction you really want to be on. And then we move on to Wednesday the 30th. Now, the big news here is we've got Mercury in opposition to Uranus, which, you know, is one of these bigger planetary aspects, you know, that I pay more attention to because it's not the moon. The moon makes aspects to planets all day long. But, you know, Mercury in an opposition to Uranus brings up a deeper stirring. You know, you got Mercury and Uranus. You know, Uranus is the higher harmonic of thought and communication, which Mercury is the earthly version of that. So you've got these two thought leaders, one very earthy and terrestrial, and the other very sort of much about consciousness and frequency and vibration. It working in opposition, they're kind of really tight. To me, it feels like there is an internal fight between what you think you know on Earth, from everything around you that's very terrestrial. So like from your family, your neighbors, your the news that you listen to, you know, everything that's coming in that way. And then everything that's coming in via, we could say the internet as well, because Uranus is very much about the internet, but like higher consciousness as well, you know, like what are you intuiting? What is coming in to you telepathically? What are you picking up on the collective waves? You know, this is putting us at a bit of an odd. You know, and the moon in opposition to Chiron is also very uncomfortable, really not comfortable, because we feel vulnerable. So, you know, I think on Wednesday the 30th, it feels like we are feeling vulnerable because of what we're learning, and the gap in our learning between what we see in reality and possibly believe in, and then versus what we kind of see and know and feel like it's a channeled knowledge, and they might not match up. So there's some difficult feelings there. And I've said faith needed, so uncomfortable realizations, faith needed. We've got the moon in a trine to Jupiter, which brings in a great big dollop of faith and goodwill, and the moon in a sextile to Venus. I don't think anyone is trying to be wrong. You know, I think we're all doing the best we can at the moment. And so I really do think that is really playing into this as well. Now we've got Thursday the 31st, which I said is spooky, strong, visceral emotions hooked in, very Scorpio, very Halloween. Well, of course, the moon on that day makes a square to Mars, one of the rulers of Scorpio, then makes another square to Pluto, again, the other ruler of Scorpio. So we've got both Mars and Pluto, in a square to the moon, and the moon in Scorpio. So, you know, these are effectively in a T-square. Like, you know, we got Mars in Cancer and the moon Pluto in Capricorn, right at the tail end. So they're almost in the fixed signs of Aquarius and Leo. They're not quite, but then the moon goes into Scorpio. So it's an uncomfortable an uncomfortable situation as Thursday is coming in, deeply transforming. It's challenging our sense of survival. You know, the square to Mars is absolutely, you know, asking you how vital you are. Do you have the energy? Do you have what it takes to be able to do what you need to do? And moon in a square to Pluto can be quite ruthless. So there's a certain amount of ruthlessness going on in this day, which really reminds me, because, you know, the sign of Scorpio has a lot to do with death and dying, and also transformation. And I don't want to come down too harsh on the negative aspects of Scorpio. I've got Scorpio rising, and I've got a Scorpio dad, 2 Scorpio sons, a Scorpio moon husband. You know, so I love the sort of Scorpio energy, but it is known for being really quite filthy at times, and not so transforming. You know, there's a terrible reputation for Scorpio. I think it's really quite unwarranted, but at this moment in time, with Mars and Pluto in opposition, the very worst sides of Pluto are coming, of Scorpio are coming out. You know, like when you think about the 2 biggest, profitable businesses being death and dying, like war, and also illness, you know, they are the things that get the most income. You see kind of what's in charge of the world. You know, right now there's loads of messages out there about illness and disease and pestilence, and then also war, fighting over boundaries, and the lengths that people will go to squash and stand on another person. You know, what really occurs to me is both Mars and Pluto want to get their own way, and in the opposition you really learn the true sense of how far we'll go to sort ourselves out. Now, my question is, are you going to be more on the Mars side, which is standing for yourself, being courageous, like believing in yourself? You're standing for you, and you're taking independent steps to be stronger. Or are you going to rise up by pushing someone else down, by standing on someone else? Pushing someone down, and using things like lies, and stealing and ruining somebody's livelihood, or deliberately ruining somebody's reputation, you know, which are very, very Scorpio sort of energies. And so I think we'll see that. I'm seeing that being played out in a whole myriad of ways, in the media, in the lives of people that I know about. You know, there are these very, very strong sink or swim scenarios that people are in, and where people feel really pushed to their limits, and then they maybe do something that isn't in alignment with their morality. You know, they do something that could harm another person. And it takes a lot to be that that person that stands for their own courage, that isn't deliberately doing anything to hurt another person, isn't locking someone out or pushing someone down or suppressing somebody, but that they just stand for themselves calmly. And actually in this kind of spider web kind of energy, it's very difficult to separate ourselves, so as you stand strong, by default, that might have a knock-on effect to somebody else who might feel stood upon. But, like, who is the judge right now? I think, this is the time when we need to, believe in ourselves, decide which way we go. Like, we've always got a choice. There is a reason why people in power have more power. It's usually because they are prepared to do the things that most of us don't want to do. That's not me saying that's a good reason, but I still think we all have a choice. We can go down a dark path, or we can go down a lighter path, or a little bit of both. There are times for every different style, but this is a time for us to get absolutely clear about what is in our heart and what works for us. I also think, and this is coming from a time when I felt a bit of a victim, and I was talking to a coach about it, who said, wherever you have hidden hatred for yourself, hidden doubts about yourself, those hidden dislikes of yourself are like hooks for people that want to abuse you, extort you in some way. And they are hooks for other people's ghoulish behavior. So something else I think that would be really good before Thursday and Friday is to work out where you are a hook for other people's bad behavior. So where you're too easygoing, and that might come from a hatred of yourself. I mean, that might, it doesn't sound like it's hatred, does it? Oh yeah, I'm just easygoing. I turn the other cheek. I'm an open book, blah, blah, blah. And you can conduct yourself like that. But has your people pleasing come from a way of controlling situations? Has your people pleasing come as a safety mechanism from a time when you needed to be a people pleaser to survive? Because if you're people pleasing, and if you're laid back kind of relaxation kind of energy that is a wide open hook for other people to be ghoulish towards you, if that has come up from some kind of discomfort that you're not looking at, that is a form of self-hatred, and it's worth looking at. Anywhere where you're secretly hating on yourself and not standing for you, you're opening yourself up to be exploited by the people. And of course, this is how we're all playing with each other, and it's difficult, but the veils are absolutely thin at this time of the year. This is a time, where, lots of people use this energy to kind of conjure what they want to bring into the world, or to connect with people that they absolutely love and to get wisdom. So you always have a choice, and I really feel like, Mars, whilst he's a hothead, he is also about survival, physical survival. And, Mars, when you think of Aries, it's very independent. Mars doesn't want to necessarily hurt everyone else. He just wants to do his own thing. Whereas Pluto wants power. And that is a very, very different kind of energy. And so the Plutonic side, and we've all got that side, there is a side that we've all got that will go to great lengths to get things our way. And usually, like we're playing chicken, we'll take it only as far as we're comfortable to before we can see that we're being duplicitous, malicious, spiteful, and hopefully you don't have to play that game too long. But, usually there comes a point where we realize, okay, I'm out of order. I need to wind it back in a little bit, and that's all part of learning. That's all part of being human. So yeah, these themes are really, really strong around Thursday and Friday. Now, one of the things I love about the sign of Scorpio is the idea of resurrection, and the idea of regeneration and coming back to life, and like making mistakes, but then like forgiving, like going into forgiveness and then coming back. It's like coming back from the dead. It is like you have this chance, like we have these chances in life where we can destroy ourselves. And then we still have the chance to learn from this whole experience and realize that we're human beings, and actually connectedness, it feels so much better. And of course, you can't really connect with people when you're in a place of deep suspicion, and also when you're self-loathing and hurting yourself. So, I really see the sort of resurrection energies are really strong as we go into Friday the 1st. We've got Mercury trine Neptune, which is also trine Mars. So we've got this lovely grand trine energy between Mercury, Mars, and Neptune. So, Mars here is giving you the energy to be able to talk about your spirituality, and for the three of them to flow beautifully together. I see this as fantastic. The moon is in a trine to Saturn that day. We are actually quite mature. We can recognize what we've learned, and really be grateful for those learnings. And then we've got the new moon, the sun and the moon at 9 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. This is a beautiful rebirth moment, and this can be a rebirth at the deepest of levels. All those things I've been talking about so far, in terms of your victimhood, in terms of how you might have unconsciously invited it in, because I don't think anyone consciously does that. Nobody leaves themselves wide open to attack or to be stolen from, or to be treated terribly, by another person. Nobody really wants that to happen. I don't think anyone's consciously doing that. We've got the chances to realize where we've been not very nice, where we've taken, where we've grasped, where we've pushed other people down. And we've got the chance to get all of this into balance and to start over and have a beautiful clean sheet. So I do see this as maybe a time to own up to, where we've been, what we've been up to, what games we've been playing, and to go much, much deeper, and go into forgiveness and forgive yourself for the games you've been playing. So I see this as a moment of knowledge, so that we can rise up more with our Mars energy rather than our Pluto, but everything in balance. Then we're coming up to Saturday, and it's funny that I said we got a clean slate, because I wrote new page. Saturday the 2nd, happy birthday to my son, by the way. We've got this lovely Jupiter sextile Chiron energy giving us hope and a feeling of optimism that we can heal, that we can kind of let go of anything that just doesn't serve us and doesn't serve the level of human being that we are. Mercury is in a trine to Mars. So again, these three are absolutely working together. That's Mars, Neptune, and Mercury. Mercury is also sextile Pluto. And then Mercury also goes into Sagittarius. So this is hopeful, optimistic. This is a turning of a page. This is leading us out and away of the Scorpio energy. This is helpful for us. So, like in this week from Monday the 28th, it feels like we are coming into the full force of the Scorpio energy. And by Saturday, we're like starting to release it, or starting to realize that we can turn a page and take action, which is empowering. And then this is the big one. So, sometimes when you take a really big leap forwards and then, and you're feeling like la-di-da, I feel great. And then life says, that's what you think. And it just tests you. It gives you a little test. Are you ready to be as upfront and as hopeful as you really think you are? And that's what Sunday is. So the Sunday, I've got loads of things going on. So, the moon goes into Sagittarius and joins Mercury. But then we get the very, very first of our 3-part Mercury opposition Plutos. So this is exact on Sunday the 3rd. It's quite an insidious and nasty aspect. I've been talking about it a little bit today, and I will be talking about it in much greater detail in a separate video. But this is strong energy, and anyone with a strong Scorpio, so if you've got Scorpio rising, sun or moon, you'll definitely want to listen to this. Also, if you've got Scorpio nodes, that could be very interesting. Or if your ruling planet is in the sign of Scorpio, again, this could really affect you. So, Mars in opposition to Pluto is literally pulling the Scorpio energy apart so that we can really see the mechanics of what's going on. But it's not likely to feel very comfortable. I've put fighting yourself because I think we've all got these multitude of different sides, and there will be a side of you that is like the young, strapping, I'm saying male, it's got nothing to do with your gender, but more about like the energy of being male, like the young, thrusting, confident person that wants to stand for themselves, that wants to take action, that is actually quite happy to be independent, happy to go on the adventure of life, and is ready to kind of deal with everything as it comes up. And then we've all got a Pluto side of us, which we probably learnt early on in our childhood when we first learnt how to manipulate situations to get our needs met. And, like we've all got it, we all have a manipulative side somewhere. And so I do see this as a fight between Mars and Pluto in our own psyche. How much do you want to get your life the way you want it? Which way are you going to go? Are you going to realize that you're going to earn it on your own merit, or you might lie, cheat, steal, and suppress others to get it? It's a very, very strong and insidious and attacking kind of aspect. And I do think this is like setting the scene for some of the themes that are going on until the end of April, when we've got the last one. I think the next one is on the 2nd of January or 3rd of January, and then the 27th of April. So we've got 3 of these oppositions, and then you want to add a couple of weeks after the last oppositions. That takes us into May. This is us fighting ourselves in our psyche, but this could also be us fighting each other in our communities or online. We see the other, I'm guessing like in America, people might be seeing the others, like othering people who, like vote differently to what you're voting. But there are loads of different ways, whether you're othering people through religion, othering people, there's just so many different ways. But this real othering, and it's a form of self-attack, and it's coming from our internal attacks. So again, I really can't stress enough, like how the more we integrate our self-attack and recognize it and see it for what it is, that it's just, a strategy we designed in childhood. We've grown up and we didn't question it, and it's come into our personality. And maybe now we can let it go. Maybe now we don't need it. Maybe now we've got the wherewithal to be able to articulate what we're feeling and to work through things. Maybe we've got the faith in ourselves or the belief in ourselves to be able to do that. And that's great. I think the more we all internally sort this conflict out for ourselves, the quicker the conflict. I know it sounds horribly naive. Forgive me if you don't believe that. That's fine. You have your own views. But the more we solve this in ourselves, the more this unravels and sorts itself out in our world. If we're like sitting down, not doing any of the work and just seeing, it's what that leader versus that leader, it's that party versus this party, I've got nothing to do with this, I'm just an innocent person. We're all having hate somewhere. We all have hidden disagreements. We all have hidden subterfuge, like we all have this kind of subterfuge and manipulation that plays a part in our life. And so I just think, if you want to sort the world out, sort yourself out. That's what I'm committed to doing myself. Every time we realize where we're being a victim, where we're opening ourselves up for it, where we're being duplicitous to get our needs met, there is something darker going on, and that is felt in the collective state of humanity. So love yourself, love your neighbor, even if you don't understand them. Recognize that we are all people, and as we come together in ourselves, we come together as people. I think that's really important. And then we've got this Venus opposition to Jupiter, which these are the two benefics kind of in opposition. And as oppositions go with the benefics, like overindulgence can be one of the things that comes up. Venus and Jupiter in oppositions are deeply overindulgent, over arrogant, over this, over that. So over optimism, maybe happy about things, like deliriously happy, when in actual fact it's not grounded in reality. So I think, the Mars opposition Pluto maybe feels kind of challenging, and we've got these weird feelings in ourselves, and at the same time I've got this kind of over optimism, over, that we're not kind of really in touch with our bodies. And then Venus in a trine to Chiron is helpful. It shows that we can like get to the core of things, and we can start to heal things in quite a nice way. But I think with all these strong energies on Sunday, we can be really, really ungrounded. So if I was in your shoes, I would actually take these shoes off and just stand on the ground, get back into nature, ground yourselves. Like, absolutely, like, we have intense feelings, and all the time, when we're cloistered away in our offices, in our homes, in the places we go to relax and stuff, but we don't kind of step out into the fresh air. We don't see the sun, we don't see the sky, we don't see the sea, we don't notice what's going on around us. It's really easy to believe that this planet is just about people, and not to see that the planet is about so much more than the people. We need to absolutely connect to like the core of nature on Sunday the 3rd. Realize who you are. You are a human being. You are a being. You are alive in this very much alive place. Get into the living, not into these kind of dead. I realize the hypocrisy is I'm sat in an office with artificial lighting and a computer and the sound desk and stuff. Get out, get free, get into nature, and remind yourself who you are. We need to ground on Sunday the 3rd. It's an intense day. And like, these are really, really intense times. And, if there was one thing that I think was really important to really be aware of in this whole week, is that you have a choice as to which way you're going, which way you're taking your family line, which way you're taking your own life. Are you going on your morality, or are you going kind of hidden in shame because you're making decisions that you're not proud of, but you feel like that's what you need to do to survive? You have a choice right now, and that is the most important thing. It's the most precious of things, in fact, that we all have a choice. So use your choice beautifully, and be nice to yourself as well. So that's the overview from this week ahead on a day-by-day basis. I just want to pay a little bit of attention to a couple of patterns. So October the 28th to the 31st. So the rest of October, the moon is going through Virgo to Scorpio. We've got Mars in a trine to Neptune. And we've also got Venus in a square to Saturn. Now, the Mars-Neptune, like I said, this is exact on Monday, but it is actually going to get filled in. And it already is filled in. It is already a grand trine with Mars, Neptune, and Mercury. Now, you'll see they're all in the tail end of the water signs. So if you're a water sign, especially later on in the water signs, if you've got your sun at the end of Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces, or the same with your moon or your ascendant, then this trine is absolutely getting you back into your flowing intuition, your sense of goodness, your ability to take action for goodness and for the right reasons. And also it's getting you to communicate your goodness. I really see this as being very beneficial for you. And also, if you're early in the fire signs, like say 1 to 3 degrees in the fire signs, you'll also be benefiting from this trine, because it will be activating your early fire. So this is helpful. And then the Venus Saturn, so there's Venus and there's Saturn. So they're in a square, and later on in the week, as Venus continues to move, she goes into an exact opposition with Jupiter. But she is actually in an opposition to Jupiter right the way through the week. It's exact on the 3rd, on Sunday the 3rd. So effectively, we've got this T-square between Venus and Saturn. So that's the loneliness I spoke about on day one, that feeling of disconnect from people, and how it's easier to do kind of shitty things to people when we feel disconnected from them. And Jupiter and Venus in opposition, we can have things completely out of proportion. We can feel over optimistic suddenly in our separations to people. We can feel over optimistic about what we can achieve. It's not really real. It feels like things aren't very realistic. And so it's worth watching out for that. Now, right at the beginning of the week, the moon in Virgo is actually making this into a grand square. Now, the moon is going to, or a grand cross, the moon is going to move, quickly into like Libra the next day. So I didn't want to labor too much about it, but this is a very strong dynamic, this Venus, Saturn and Jupiter T-square. Now, something else that's really coming in on the 1st to 3rd, just to really spell it out so you can see it. We've got this Mars opposition to Pluto. Mars is already in opposition with Pluto, has been since I think the 14th of October. But on the 3rd, Mars and Pluto are exactly in opposition to each other. And on the same day, we've got Venus in opposition to Jupiter. Now, it's interesting because, they've got similar themes, both. I mean, the higher harmonic of Venus is actually Neptune. It's like the higher harmonic of love. This could be unconditional love. But if you were to take Venus, one of the benefics, as being, a harmonic of well-being and a harmonic of flow and a harmonic of luck, which I believe she is, then Jupiter is like a higher harmonic of it. They've both got a similar theme. Mars and Pluto do have self-interest and thriving and taking action, and sometimes being a bit antisocial as a theme. So you've got these two very antisocial planets in opposition, and you've got these two very social planets in opposition. It's interesting. You've got like similar themes being picked apart at both poles. And then if you also look, Mercury and Uranus, have been in opposition. Mercury at this point, as we're coming into this week ahead. Let me just double check. Yeah. Mercury is at 0 degrees in the sign of Sagittarius, and Uranus is at 25 degrees in the sign of Taurus, but they are still in opposition to each other throughout the week. And Mercury is, the harmonic of thinking and communication, and then Uranus is the higher harmonic of it. So it's interesting that we've got these kind of shared themes in oppositions, the personal planets with similar themed planets that are outer planets or slower moving planets in opposition with them. This is a very, very strong time where we are healing the inner and kind of reflecting it out in the outer world, and whatever is coming from the outer world and outer consciousness is hitting us in the heart. We are changing. So these are really, really important times to be aware of. Something else that's interesting as well that just occurs to me is Mercury is going into Sagittarius on the 2nd of November, which is obviously a fire sign. And Mars will be going into Leo on the 4th. That takes us into our next week. But, Mars will be going into Leo. So both Mars and Mercury will be going into fire signs. And of course, in this week ahead, they are in this watery trine for most of the week. So, the way we're thinking and communicating and also taking action is about to get a bit more fiery, a bit more vigorous, a bit more lively. And less flow, but more kind of more energy. But then, you know, very soon after, both are going to go retrograde through the fire signs. So Mercury will be going retrograde at 22 degrees in the sign of Sagittarius. That's on the 25th of November. So this is a little way ahead. But, you know, Mercury, which is about our thinking function, you know, it's not very strong in the sign of Sagittarius. It's in its detriment. But, you know, Mercury is, and our way of being philosophical, hopeful, sort of about the sort of bigger context rather than the fine detail, that is going to be completely like rewritten and rewound throughout November and into the 15th of December. If you've got things in Sagittarius between 6 and 22 degrees, then this retrograde is going to, it's going to give you something to think about. And then Mars, you know, Mars is going to go into Leo, and then is going to go from 6 degrees Leo back into 17 degrees Cancer when it goes forwards again. So again, you know, Mars coming into the Leo is really helping you become sovereign, but there is something about your sovereignty that needs to be rewound a little bit. And I think it's going back into the history of your family, going into your timelines, and then deciding who you are before moving forwards again. So there are some big changes. You know, I'm not so worried about the outer planets and their retrogrades. I mean, they spend almost half their time in retrograde every year, you know, not quite half, obviously, or else they'd never move. But, you know, like 4 months, 5 months, you know, 5.5 months, you know, they spend a long time retrograde. But what I do notice is that, like, when Mars goes retrograde every couple of years, it creates so much of a movement at a deep level for us. And Mercury retrogrades obviously are, you know, are very frequent. We have them 3 times a year for 3 weeks at a time. But Mercury is giving us a time to just reevaluate and shift our thinking. So we are going through a very tumultuous time. That's what I really wanted you to pick up from this slide. You know, these oppositions are deeply stirring, and these oppositions are leading us actually into retrogrades. So good luck with that one. So thanks to everybody that supports the channel. I really, really love and appreciate all of you. In particular, you know, those of you who've taken the time to connect with me and, you know, who sponsor the show. I really, really love that. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that comments as well. I got so many lovely messages when I was ill last week. Obviously, I'm better now, recovering. I'm still putting it in present tense. You know, I'm still doing it. But I really, really appreciate the best wishes that people have had towards me. I think this is a really lovely community. So thank you. I just wanted to put a shout out for you. So in a second, I'm going to look at the individual forecasts, like I said, for each sign of the zodiac, and you can use those for whether it's your sun, your moon, or your ascendant, or all three. You know, you can do that too. Yeah, and hopefully the whole idea of the zeitgeist right now in terms of what choice you have and how you're going to choose that choice, I hope that will be really helpful. So see you in a minute. Hey there, Aries. So I want to give you the update from Monday, the 28th of October to Sunday, the 3rd of November. If you want the day-to-day update, then look at the day-to-day forecast earlier in this video. But this, in this one, I'm just going to be talking about the effects of Mars, Neptune, and Mercury trine in this week ahead, which involves one of your ruling planet, Mars. Also, the Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn T-square, the new moon in Scorpio and how that's likely to affect you, and also the Mars-Pluto opposition, again, Mars being your ruling planet. So, you know, this is going to take you from the Monday the 28th to Sunday the 3rd of November. You know, and during this week, we've got Halloween on Thursday the 31st, followed by the new moon on the 1st, which is at 9 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. Now, where this new moon is showing up is in the place of old business, like the baggage that you might come through life with. Earlier in the show, in the day-to-day forecast, I was talking about ancestry and the importance of cleaning and clearing the ancestry and monitoring, the timelines, the ancestral timelines of which you are at the leading edge of. And so for me, this new moon that's coming up is absolutely creating a sense of change in terms of the ancestral timeline that you're part of. To me, this is you reaching out and setting up a new standard for yourself, recognizing where you are, where you want to be, and what you're committed towards. So I really do think that this is important. This is really helping you to move in a new direction in terms of life. And this is absolutely a resurrection of not just your karmic direction, but like the karmic direction for your whole family. This feels very, very important. Now, obviously, this part of the chart also has to do a little bit with intimacy and sex and shared values and shared money and shared things. All of these kind of inheritances that come from our family. So be very aware of all of these themes going on right now in your life that have to do with other people. Where other people are somehow signed into your overall good, where it feels like other people have some kind of interest over your life. That may feel comfortable, it may not. And if not, then the new moon is a really good restart point where you can thank everyone so far and say, yeah, actually, I'm going to take it from here, So I do see you coming back into your own authority, which is interesting because in this week ahead, we've got the very first of three important Mars and Pluto oppositions. And this creates a lot of stress. It's creating a sense of how you can retain your own authority, even though it feels like there are other people lording it over you. The Pluto aspect of this in the 10th house is really showing the sort of discomfort that you have in terms of coming into your own power, most likely because there are other power archetypes in your life that feel really quite strong and really quite controlling. And yet here you are really feeling that need to break free, that need to stand strong. To me, this feels like quite an important week because this is you recognizing that you've had it up to here with other people's interventions. And now it's time for you to lead yourself and to let everyone else's opinions, just like recognize that everyone else that is trying to impact the way you're living, it's just their opinions based on their hurt, the unresolved personality. They're just opinions. They're not, they are not actually determining how you need to live. That's for you to determine for yourself. So this is a very strong week. And as this kicks off the overall theme of the Mars and Pluto opposition, it's also worth deciding right off the bat, how far will you go to get your own way, and how much in the past have you relied on kind of twisting things a little bit to make it work? We all have manipulations along the way. We all have a little internal scam or two, or a little something that we've done that's allowed us to find our own feet, but not necessarily being very clear and clean and open. Well, what's really coming up is this opportunity for you to really clear that. I really see that in this week ahead, you can see any of the old manipulations that you've got in, you've headed into. A lot of manipulations actually come about because of other people manipulating you. So for instance, in your childhood, you probably learned to catch guilt because you had guilt thrown your way, and boom, there it goes. You learn the patterns from your parents and the other people around you. But what I really see is different right now for you is that you can see these patterns and see that actually, when you're kind of cowering around, scurrying around, looking for, that little sweet spot that you could manipulate before, and maybe manipulate's a hard word, but, where you felt that you could gain some power, right now, you're actually realizing that you can do it another way, that there is an internal strength, that you can trust yourself, you can believe in yourself. you can absolutely lead yourself forwards. And seeing as this is showing up in the 4th house, you can also lead your family forwards. So it's like you are drawing the line so that you can clear the space, clear the ancestry, and your family can all benefit from that. Now, the Mars Neptune Mercury trine all week is really helpful, I think, for you, because it's really awakening you to a much deeper appreciation of your intuition, which I actually think Aries are quite intuitive if they stopped long enough to realize that they had their own instincts. And maybe instinct is a stronger word that maybe suits an Aries more than, talking about intuition, which seems a little bit wishy-washy. But, your instincts are getting stronger, and this trine is really helping you to speak with authority about where you're coming from, to really understand, like what your knowing is, your intuitive knowing, and then kind of sort of matching it with that sense of internalized power that is growing. So I do see this as a time of recovery for you as well. Last thing I really want to touch on is the Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square, which is really going on all week. Jupiter here is trying to open up things in terms of how you interact within your local community. And Saturn here is really changing the rules of operation, rules of engagement. What internal rules have you always accepted as true, and therefore you've lived your life by them? There's all these little shorthands that we've had in our life that have mainly come from family members, and it's just been passed down from one person to another. Right now, Venus is giving you the opportunity to explore other ways of believing, explore other ways of being in the world and expanding in the world. Venus is really trying to get you to see a much bigger picture. And Jupiter is also trying to get you back into the rules of engagement that you grew up with. So it's an interesting time. Again, I really see that it's time to trust yourself and to know that, there are some things from your childhood that are worth continuing and also reviewing at the same time, like continuously reviewing them. But then in terms of your outer expression in the world, it is okay to also pick up new ways of being, new compassions, new forgiveness, new ways. So, Aries, I think this is quite an intense week. I do think the new beginnings that you're creating, they're coming in right at the waxing crescent, after the new moon. They are absolutely there to help you start a gentle new start. To me, you're coming back into your faith in yourself, your belief in yourself. You're coming back into your own power after a time of feeling disempowered. And this is setting you off on a whole new journey. I will be talking about the Mars-Pluto opposition in a separate video, a much greater length. What is happening right now is a whole new pattern of self-assuredness. And so, I hope this is helpful. What you are taking this week are new steps into your new assured self. So I think this is a very important step forwards. You always have the choice, and so even though, currently we've got the sun and and then the new moon here, and also Mercury here, things are being really highlighted in terms of your thoughts and feelings about transformation, death, dying, and resurrection, and all of those patterns, the patterns of light versus dark. You always have a choice. Even when you feel like you're coerced, there is a choice about how you feel about it. And this fundamental shift you're going through right now is immense, should not be underestimated. So just remind yourself, I have the choice. I am at choice. Last of all, if I can be of any help, if you want to unpack anything with me, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. It's a simple link that you click and book an appointment with me. Just ask me to work with you and we can sort it out that way. So have a great week ahead. Enjoy your spooky time, however you choose to do that. And look forward to seeing you for a really shockingly interesting new week next week. Oh my goodness. So anyway, take care and catch you soon. Bye for now. Hey there, Taurus. So this is a forecast, a spooky forecast, taking you from Monday, the 28th of October, right the way through to Sunday, the 3rd of November. Now, I've done the day-to-day forecast in the, funnily enough, mentioned day-to-day forecast earlier in this video. You know, this really expands on the kinds of activities you'll be doing each day, and a little bit about some of the stronger themes coming in. But this forecast is really for you, the Taurus energy, whether that is Taurus sun, Taurus moon, or Taurus ascendant. You know, this is all about Taurus and how the Taurus energy is expressing itself in this week ahead. Now, what I'm going to focus on in this part is really the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine here. Also the Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square here. And Venus is obviously important because she's your ruling planet. So there she is. Also the new moon that's happening in the sign of Scorpio. That's going to get my attention. And then finally the Mars Pluto opposition, which is really, pretty big. And is, I think, really life-changing for a lot of people. So this is the week ahead where we've got Halloween or All Hallows Eve, Samhain, Day of the Dead, however you want to call it, on the 31st of October. You know, the day, you know, this is a period of time where the veils between reality are thinner than normal, and where we can connect into our ancestors. And so I think the ancestral links and ties, and also the themes of light and dark are really, really strong this week, in particular because the moon is in the sign of Scorpio at the time of the Halloween. And then quickly after, on the 1st of November, we've actually got the new moon at 9 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. This is interesting. You know, you've got the sun and the moon in your opposing sign in the 7th house. This is fantastic if you're single and really wanting to meet somebody new. You know, this is a really good augury for a new relationship or a new start within an existing relationship. You know, this is allowing you to clean the slates, and turn over a new page about your relationships in general. So I don't know what's been happening in your relationships, obviously, but you know, anywhere where things have gone wrong, anywhere where things have got confusing because of darkness or manipulation or perceived manipulation or gaslighting or any of these slightly darker subjects that absolutely fit the Scorpio theme. Sorry, Scorpios. You know, there is a new start with this. And with all these new starts, I think whatever we're seeing in other people, we have ourselves. You know, there is a certain amount of projection that I think is really, really obvious, actually, if you're looking at media right now. Every time I hear some famous person saying, this person is like this, they're always doing the very action that they're accusing the other person of. I see that across the board, you know, whichever way you're looking at it. But projection is absolutely so rife at the moment. And of course, it would be, you know, we're in the Scorpio season now where, you know, especially from the northern hemisphere, it feels like there's less light getting to us. You know, we've got the new moon in the sign of Scorpio, which is known, you know, which is ruled by Mars and Pluto, and is very much associated with death and dying, resurrection, death, taxes, sex and intimacy. You know, it's attached to all of these slightly uncomfortable subjects that not many people feel comfortable talking about. I'm happy to talk about it all, but most people would not like start with, oh, so how are you getting on in bed at the moment? You know, if you're meeting somebody new, you know, they are these taboo subjects so it's what's hidden, you know, like it's the Scorpio time is what can we hide? We don't want everyone to know what's going on. So this new moon, I think, is allowing you to break open all that's been hidden in your relationships and allow it to come forwards, up and into the light so it can start again. So very useful. So, you know, don't just see it as an opportunity to go, yeah, told you so, to your partner, because you might end up losing your partner if that's how you are. But if you can start to see where you are also part of the problem, you know, where there is a sort of shared burden of the quality of your relationship, then I really do think that things can patch together, or at least they can go their separate ways in, you know, a feeling of kind of joint compassion, or at least respect for each other, which would be really great. speaking of polarity, you know, Mars and Pluto in their opposition are pretty strong, you know. So Pluto up here in the ninth, and Mars down here in the third. You know, Mars, I really see that we've got a choice at the moment, a really clear choice. And I see that the Mars and Pluto archetypes are absolutely different aspects of ourselves. You know, there's the Pluto side, showing where we might manipulate or fudge things a little bit, or the lengths we'll go to get our own way. And we all have our things that we've done that on, I'm sure. None of us are angels, as far as I know. And yet it also represents people who've done stuff to us, who have maligned you, stamped on you, climbed over you, lied about you, stolen from you, taken from you, you know, belittled you in some way, you know, because all of that is an attack. It's like a hatred. And then, you know, there's the Mars at the bottom, you know, which it can be us being belligerent and being very forceful, but it's also us coming back to life. It's us coming into our own power, and choosing to stand in our own power. So I really see that, you know, we're all grown up at this time, you know, and we have the choice. Do we want to play the old games, maybe set up, you know, from old paradigms with family and friends and stuff and beliefs, or are we going to be playing new games? Well, that's not very well. I mean, everything is a game, but are we going to play a new way? Are we going to play from our empowerment rather than our disempowerment? Now, the thing is, the way these are showing up in your chart is, you know, that Mars is like that. You might be standing strong in your environment, in your community, whereas, you know, Pluto up here is very much in a place of the greater context, how it looks in the world, you know. So the manipulative forces that you might be feeling are maybe coming from politics and religion and governments and things that are outside of your community, and you might be feeling very, very strong and strident within your own community. So I see that these archetypes of whether you stand strong for yourself and stand for your ability to be able to resolve your life, rather than needing to use some of the techniques that other people might use that quash people. It's your choice. You can do both, or a little bit, you know, like or you can just say, no, I don't need to use trickery. I don't need to use deception. I don't need to manipulate in any way, shape or form. I'm ready, and I feel capable and ready to be myself, truly. So I see that what's going on right now is we've got this big choice, and we are coming into maturity, which is really nice, because it really kind of fits in with this pattern here with Mars and Mercury and Neptune, really helping us to develop our own spiritual style, being able to articulate how we are, and also to share that locally. You know, I really feel that you're able to share who you are out locally with your friends, and your family and your community, and really feel like people can get the measure of you. So again, you're not hiding your patterns. Nothing is hidden now. You're actually able to articulate where you're coming from and what's new. So this is a step forwards, you know, really nice one. Now this T square, you know, the Saturn and Venus, you know, the square here where Saturn's in the 11th, this is a little bit problematic. It almost feels like you're feeling manipulations coming from outside connections and networks and friendship groups and things like that, which can be very, very uncomfortable. And yet, Venus here is actually in the belly of the beast. You know, Venus in this part of the chart is quite difficult. You know, you're like Alice in Wonderland or Cinderella, but in a house of horrors. You know, like Venus wandering as an innocent into the 8th house. It's a whole new kind of adventure, you know, where you're trying to do everything as beautifully as possible, but coming up against everyone else's baggage. And then Jupiter over here is really encouraging you to just have your own baggage, and kind of step away from everyone else's trauma and everyone else's difficulties. And actually, I have to say, I see that the Jupiter side is actually quite, you know, advantageous, you know, from your birth chart perspective right now. It's like, how can I have faith in my own abilities? How can I have faith in myself and trust in myself? Well, Venus here, I think, is really encouraging you just to see that even people that have given you baggage, and put lots on you, put lots of expectations that have been unfair, and even people that have maybe worked against you, are these kind of like frail and sometimes failed humans. They've made mistakes like we all have. And so maybe what is really being called out right now is to find some compassion or forgiveness. Now, that doesn't mean to say you forget. It doesn't mean to say you make anyone's behaviors that have been shitty towards you. You don't make them right. But that you can, for yourself, find a way to, just see that we are all part of this, frail and failed condition, and that we always have a choice as to how we think about it after. And that, when we choose forgiveness, you're not so much doing it for the other person, but you're also doing it for yourself. It's like you're drawing a line underneath it and just moving on. It's happened. Nothing else can be said. It's not going anywhere. And so here we go. We draw the line. We say this ends here. And we move on from that. So I think your Venus actually in sign of Sagittarius, in this week ahead is actually encouraging you towards practical action. So there you go, Taurus. There's some of the kind of overviews or my thoughts about how everything is fitting in right now. I do see that you're coming into a much stronger sense of power in yourself. And I really think that comes from you taking the lead and deciding that, stuff that's happened in the past, it just has to stay there now. You almost don't have the time or the energy to keep giving these old thoughts rent, for they're getting a place in your head rent free. It's time to clear some of that out so you can clear space for what you really do want. And Jupiter here is boosting you up so that you will end up working in the right way. So there you go. I hope that's helpful. If I can be of any help, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. You literally just book a consultation with me, invite me to work with you, and that's as difficult as it is. So anyway, have a lovely spooky week ahead, and catch you next week when again the temperatures are raising significantly. Lots of love. Hey there, Gemini. So this is a spooky forecast taking you from Monday the 28th to Sunday the 3rd of November, and this is a pretty big week. This is the week of Halloween or Hallows Eve, Samhain, the Day of the Dead. I don't know if you've got any traditions around that, but it's a time known for the veils being really thin, and for intuition and perception being really heightened. I also see it as a time for us to clear the past, and to connect with our ancestors, connect with that sense of where we've come from and also where we're going. So I do think, I'm going to be talking about time and like timelines and so on and so forth in this. In particular, what I really want to talk about, and I should say, if you want to know more about like the daily movements of the moon and all the planetary on a day-by-day basis, then go to the day-to-day forecast, which is earlier in this video. But this is specifically for the Gemini energy. And I'm going to be talking about the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine, which is here. And obviously, Mercury is your ruling planet, and Mercury is here in bright yellow. Mercury is actually going to be changing signs this week, right at the end on Saturday. And so, I do think that's also going to signify a kind of change, a changing scene for you in terms of your life. I'm going to be talking about the Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square. So Venus is here in opposition to Jupiter, and Saturn is T-ing it all. I'm also going to be talking about the new moon in Scorpio and how that's likely to come up, and also the Mars-Pluto opposition that's really coming into its own. It's exact on the 3rd of November. It's the first of 3 exact oppositions, taking us from the 3rd of November to the 27th of April. So it's a long, long time. I am going to be talking separately about Mars and Pluto in their opposition, and also the new moon later on this week. But, I'm incorporating it into this video because it is also very important to this week's kind of scheme. So where should I start? I think I want to start with the new moon on the 1st at 9 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. So this is taking place in a really practical part of your chart. It's really showing that this next new moon is, I think, bringing heightened intuition into your day-to-day living, but also giving you a really clear, fresh look at how you can be more powerful in your life, and how you can let go of really disempowering beliefs and habits. Because, the sign of Scorpio, it doesn't mess around, it doesn't want to waste its time. It does want to be potent. And so how can you be potent at home? How can you be potent in the way you're organizing your life, organizing your money, organizing your health and fitness and wellness, and how does it all fit together? So I'm really seeing that this week ahead, in particular with this new moon on Friday the 1st, is really here to show you your potency, how you can supercharge it. Now, it just so happens, that Mercury is also in this part of your charts, really right up until, in fact, the 2nd of November, so that's Saturday. So, there is this real emphasis on turbocharging your entire life. You're not just focused on your body, you're not just focused on your money. It's like everything has to piece together. So this is really strong. So, maybe as you're going through the start of the week, the waning crescent, you might start considering what you're letting go of, and kind of be thankful for everything that you're letting go of, because, we have habits and we have things in our life for as long as they suit us. And then, we change, we evolve, and then we have to let go of it. But it's very easy to look at stuff you've done in the past and kind of throw stones at it and call it names. But that would have been a strategy that kept you safe and well for quite some time. So be forgiving of yourself and your past. But don't skip on that or skimp on that work. I think if you can get really clear before the 1st of November, you can really set yourself up on a really nice new vibe, which I think will be helpful. Speaking of like the Scorpio energy, we've also got like the Mars-Pluto opposition. Now, Pluto is hanging on in there in Capricorn. And Pluto and Mars is coming to the end of its time in your 2nd house. In fact, on the 4th, it's going to change signs and go into the sign of Leo. But what this is signifying to me is the tension that you have from where you feel completely bossed around and manipulated by other people in your life, including like parents, grandparents, the whole family line, because this is very much about family inheritance. Where money has been controlled, like shared money, inheritances. For instance, when one of your family members says, "Oh, one day you're going to be really, really wealthy. However, you'll need to do this, this, and this, or I'll loan you some money, but I want you to spend it this way." Like these hidden catches with how you manage your life and your resources. So anywhere where there's power being held over you, I think is really deeply uncomfortable, and the true cost of it is being made available to you in this week ahead. Now, Mars through this part of your chart is absolutely encouraging you to see where you do have power and where you do have status, and how you have to believe in yourself, because to the direct level that you don't believe in yourself, that's when you get bullied and manipulated and pushed down. It's really clear that other people just say, "Oh, look at her," well, or him, wow, they're full of self-hatred. Okay, well, I can offset a load of this onto them, so it's like your self-hatred or your self-doubts are a hook for the malevolence, and also the discomfort that other people have, and rather than face their own discomforts, they'll just hang it onto you. So it really feels like in this week ahead, the strongest thing you can choose to do is to love yourself and value yourself. And wherever you see a doubt that you have about yourself, that you work on it super quick, that you recognize that you're doubting yourself, that you then look at that doubt and say, okay, well, where has that come from? Get someone that you trust nearby. Like if you trust somebody, and their opinion, maybe somebody that's known you for a while, or somebody who's just a really good coach. If you know somebody who you trust, and you can say, "Look, I've got this self-doubt," and it's persistent, it keeps coming up, then absolutely get people in to help you see it and unpick it, because the more you unpick your dis-ease about your value and unpick your discomfort that you have about your internal status, your internal power, your internal ability to be able to cope. And that's what I would say. It's like a copeability. Like, can you cope in your life? And anywhere where you doubt your ability to cope, you want to look at where that's coming from. So these nasty old hags or people from the past can just stay the hell away and kind of like stay out of your business, and not put all of their BS on you. Now, I do recognize that, obviously these family patterns get sown and they get perpetuated. So where someone's bullied you, no doubt you've done that to other people, not through any like fault of your own necessarily. These are learned patterns. And, when I say not through any fault of your own, I'm also extending that to the people who I've just called a hag and said, there are people that have manipulated and used and done awful things. But, again, these people have learnt their responses from other people. So again, you learning the value in yourself and standing strong for who you are is the most powerful thing you can do, because not only does it transform your timeline and kind of wipe out the hooks that other people have to be able to hook into you, but you're also setting a whole new tone. And this new tone you'll be taking into your local environment, as Mars moves into Leo. So, it will spread. Your act of courage will spread, and it will have impact. So you have a choice. That's what I want you to know. And then this lovely trine between Mars and Mercury and Neptune, this is getting you tuning into maybe things that you've ignored in the past, but you felt, hang on a sec, something not quite right here. It feels like someone is maybe being a bit deceitful in my career. Somebody's maybe, not being very straight, and you can't quite put your finger on it. But in this week ahead, your instincts and your mind are lightning fast and working with it, and you recognize that those whispers you've had are actually intuitions. That is your body nudging you that you actually know what's going on. So pay attention to that. Don't let that pass you by. So the last thing then that I really want you to be aware of, so that you can use this to help yourself, is this Venus-Jupiter opposition. As these oppositions go, this is actually quite an easy one. Jupiter is inflating how you're feeling about yourself. It doesn't necessarily confer that you trust yourself and believe in yourself, but it's bringing up the, that's something that you're working on with Mars here. But Jupiter in the first is really showing how it's important to put yourself first. It is becoming abundantly clear that you're more important than you think, and that it's important that you pay more attention to your body, your image, the personality, the persona that you have. It's time to invest in you. And here, the opposition with Venus is, it feels like you're investing your time and energy into other people and listening to other people's views. So this is causing some tension, but it's not irreconcilable. I always think whatever is showing up here is showing us where our projection is basically showing us what we need to do for ourselves. So with Venus here, kind of highlighting the freedom and the joy of people and looking at all these joyful people in your life, to me, that's just an indication that you really want to bring some of that joy and freedom into your own life. So, whereas the Gemini motto, I think, is quite light and bright and interested in so many things, sometimes it doesn't build up enough passion and a sense of its own freedom. And that's what really comes out with this this Sagittarian Venus. So, try and, use as much, like, ask yourself, what lights me up in life? What is really working for me? Why do I like these bright people around me? What is it about them that I like? And then recognize that's part of your toolkit as well. Now, if ever you're feeling disconnected, try not to take it too seriously. Just recognize that, Saturn up here is actually quite judgmental. To me, it feels like you're being quite hard on yourself. You're judging yourself as if you're almost a client, an external observer, your own boss looking at you. So just be really aware of the judgments that you're living in, and also where you're judging other people. You'll also feel that because, you know, the unconscious mind doesn't really pay too much attention to pronouns. You know, it just hears, oh, you're strong, or you're not great, or look at that person there, blah, blah, blah. So it's not really listening to the actual, like, who it is. It just hears judgment, 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 and then applies it back to yourself. So watch your judgments, and tune into joy as much as you can, and to your own self-empowerment. And then, like I said, this new moon is here to potentize your life. So an important week for you, Gemini. Have a good one. If I can be of any help, then just get in touch. All of my details are below in the notes. And it's really simple. All you have to do is just invite me to work with you, and we can take it from there. So anyway, lots of love to you, and see you another time. Bye for now. Okay, so Cancer. This is your kind of slightly spooky forecast for the week ahead, starting from Monday, the 28th of October, taking you right the way through to the 3rd of November. That's Sunday. Now, in this week ahead, we've got Halloween, which you might know as Samhain, or All Hallows Eve, or the Day of the Dead, or there's probably loads of other names. And the way I see it is it's a time, like the week leading into it and beyond it, it's a time of the thin veils, like the veils between this reality and other realities are super thin. And I think this is why, you know, obviously we've got these celebrations of death and dying. You know, the idea that we can connect to our ancestors is also very strong. So this is a time to be really, really consciously aware of where you're putting your energy, especially given that you are a Cancerian, and ruled by the moon, and that we've got a new moon in spooky Scorpio, a fellow water sign. So this is a very sort of emotional week, a week where you're in touch, intuitive, really psychic, and it's a week where you can create some good transformation for yourself. Now, if you're looking for a day-by-day breakdown of this week ahead, then check out the day-to-day forecast earlier in this video, you know, where I absolutely go through all the different planetary placements and talk quite a lot about the Mars-Pluto opposition, and other things. But in this forecast, I really want to give you the sort of overview of how that, you know, the Cancerian wrapper about this. And so what I'm going to talk about is the Mars-Neptune-Mercury trine, which is here. And, you know, that's of some importance given that you've got Mars in the sign of Cancer right now, making you, you know, really quite strong in the actions that you're taking. You know, like you're putting yourself first for sure. Then we've also got the Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square. So Venus here in Sagittarius, Saturn in Pisces, and Jupiter here in the 12th house is interesting. We've got the new moon in Scorpio down here, which I'll be talking about. And then finally, we've also got the Mars-Pluto opposition, which, again, like I said, Mars is in your house right now, in your sign, and Pluto is in opposition to it. This is, I think, the most significant thing going on right now. And I think it's important to make a clear distinction. You know, these two archetypes of Mars and Pluto, they both want to get their own way, and they want to do it in different ways. So Pluto is that part of us that will go to great lengths to get our own way, even if it involves maybe doing something you're not proud about, you know, maybe doing something that you're a bit embarrassed about, a bit ashamed about, where you can't quite talk about it because you don't want to bring light to it. You know, both Mars and Pluto are rulers of Scorpio. You know, so if you think of the sign of Scorpio, it's that hidden sign. It's that place where our motives and the way we've worked things out stay hidden. You know, and where we might not be playing the best game that we can play. So, you know, the Pluto archetype here can show you where other people are manipulating you, and where other people have been really strong and strongly controlling, and kind of putting you down and putting you in place and stuff like that. Because Pluto will take power at any length, or go to great lengths to hold on to that power. But here, Mars is that element of your belief in yourself, your desire to fight back, your desire to stand on your own 2 feet. You know, so effectively, you've got like Pluto that wants to stand, but he Pluto stands on somebody else's achievements. Pluto stands on somebody else's hard-won experience, and kind of pushes everyone aside. You know, Pluto pushes, you know, the winner off the top spot, you know, whereas Mars is your courage and ability to stand strong for yourself. And the thing is, we've learnt both parts within this survival consciousness. We've learnt it from word go, you know, mostly from our parents. And obviously, if we see our parents doing shitty things to other people, we grow up thinking that's really normal, and that everyone's playing the same game, so it doesn't matter. And yet there are other ways of doing. And hopefully you've also learnt from your parents and friends, and also from having been deceived or lied to in the past. You've learnt how it hurts, and how it's good to actually do things for yourself in the right way, you know, like honestly and consciously. So there are these two archetypes that are fighting out. And here's the thing. They are in exact opposition on the 3rd of November. They're going to be exact again on the 3rd of January, and also on the 27th of April. So we've got this energy going on for a long time, a really long time. Now, this is the last one, you know, across Cancer and Capricorn. The next two oppositions are happening across Leo and Aquarius, but it's still important. And so, you know, one choice that you've got to make this week, I think, especially as we're coming into the Halloween period and the new moon, is to ask yourself, you know, which of those ways of surviving am I most in tune with? The one where I'm climbing on the back of everyone else's achievements, or, you know, and prepared to go much further to achieve the things I want to achieve, which might involve doing some things you're not proud of? Or am I standing for myself? I also think there's another very clear decision as well, and that is about how we become a victim to other people's machinations. So you might also choose to look at where you have, you know, like maybe where you've been playing goody two shoes, or playing the easy game of people pleasing, you know, because it keeps you safe. You know, it is a survival mechanism, and yet lots of people who play it safe and play it kindly, and are people pleasing, often have some kind of slightly weird route into it. You know, like we've learnt this as an alternative way of getting our needs met, you know. So it is a manipulation in its own right. It just seems like a much nicer manipulation, you know. So you might also look at where you're also using people pleasing or other techniques to get your power, rather than actually standing strong for yourself and saying, look, this is what I need. The funny thing is, when you actually say this is what I need, and nobody around you senses that there's an internal power struggle or a manipulation, most people are really happy to help you achieve what you need. But the trouble is, you know, we've all been raised by guilt throwers and guilt catchers, and we've also got infected with that. So watch where watch where your motives are coming from. You know, this is going to be an ongoing theme for the next 6 months or so. Now, right now, it's very personal. You know, it feels like you've got to take actions for your own personal survival, which may or may not be true, but that's how it seems. But like the next two are very much about your money and getting your money, you know, sort of balanced, versus feeling like everyone else has a hand in how you're surviving. You know, so you may well find that this is quite an uncomfortable period, and it's important now to get used to asking for what you need honestly and openly, without any kind of manipulations or backstabbing or, you know, kind of weirdness, so that, you know, as the opposition comes into the 2nd and the 8th house, that you are able to you know, see yourself as completely in charge of your earnings, and also recognize that other people have nothing to do with your earnings. You know, that you don't have to be privy to other people's changes of heart, you know, where like your success or your money is held by somebody else, you know. So there's a lot of very funny business going on here, and it's worth exploring it, because it's going to be playing off a lot over the next 6 months. This new moon, I think, is really, really helpful, and weirdly, the new moon, just before the new moon happens, actually on the day of Halloween, the moon actually comes right in between Mars and Pluto and goes into a T-square. So like the new moon is kind of growing from that T-square, growing from the discomfort of like surviving ethically, or surviving off your own efforts, and the survival that comes from other people's efforts and time and treasure. And so this new moon, I think, in the 5th house, which is all about your passions, your what lifts you up, what eases you, what you love to do, and all the people that you're intimate with, the people that you love to be intimate with, and your children as well, like the things that you've birthed in life, all the projects you've been birthing in life. This new moon is very powerful. It's giving you like a new start. It's giving you a boost. But again, given that it's in the sign of Scorpio, and the rulers of Scorpio are Mars and Pluto, again, you've got the choice. Now, like I say, Halloween is just the day before. So anywhere, like your ancestors, and of course, like the sign of Cancer, ruled by the moon, absolutely loves ancestors, loves the idea of history, and that sort of timeline from the past. It feels like the ancestors are there to help you, but you might also feel judged, if there's something that hasn't quite worked out. So again, it's really important to choose exactly which way of surviving you're going. I think if you're asking for help from your ancestors, and your behaviors are matching the ancestral plan and are promoting your whole lifeline, your timeline, your genetic line, I think you'll get loads more help. This is an ancestral, almost like the ancestors are giving you back, like they are there for guidance. They are there to help you. They're there to give you little signs. But of course, if you're not working in the line of the family, and doing things that maybe would bring the family line into disrepute, through fear of not being able to cope, then you might find that there is a feeling of judgment coming up around this time. So I really think that judgment and choice are really, really important. So choose really wisely, choose things that feel good and feel in alignment with who you are as a person and your inner morality, because anywhere where that's not like completely aligned, and where you don't feel you have the ability to stand on your own 2 feet, I really think those judgments are coming up. So, I really, see that this is very, very personal here, across the 1st and the 7th. It's big. Other things then. So the Venus, Saturn, Jupiter square, Venus here in the 6th and Jupiter in the 12th. Again, it's interesting we're talking about ancestors, because Jupiter in the 12th really does pick up loads of the old mind viruses, lots of the old beliefs that you've probably picked up from your ancestors, and they will involve self-sabotage, and they will involve some ways that maybe don't help us. But Jupiter here is helpful because he's helping us to see our tendencies, and also to see maybe when we choose something that's less favorable to our morality, but it seems easier, and it's the thing that we can cope with because we've seen other people cope with it. So it's bringing up the discomforts, whereas Venus here is really wanting you to feel bold and clean and clear and straightforward in the way you're living your life, and so that's really, really nice. So keep asking yourself as this week goes on, am I in alignment with who I am? Am I really in alignment? Do I feel judged? Am I judging myself? And if you are judging yourself, if there's something that's going on because you are so intuitive, if there's something that doesn't quite feel right, don't do it. Absolutely don't do it. Tune in and listen, because your instincts are there for a reason. The last thing then that I really want to talk about is the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine. This is really helpful, and it is really picking up on the Mars theme, and also we've got like Mercury in the 5th, which is really helping you to do more of what you love to do and to talk more about it. Neptune up here is helping you to have much more creative and spiritual dreams that are taking you further and further and away from your reality. So to me, I think not only are you learning to stand on your own 2 feet a lot more effectively, but you are following your spiritual yearning. You're following your spiritual drive to go further and further afield. And Mercury is here really helping you have even more imagination around it and a greater sense of articulation. So any kind of creative projects are really, really helpful for you at this time. So this is a big week. I think the only thing that is really important for you is to just be really, really clear about what's driving you, because this is quite a treacherous time in, the Scorpio season. And if you're tired and worn out, you may well find that those old programs that might not be in your best interest, they're the ones that come up. And they might be the ones that are actually really secretly attacking you. So watch out for that. You're a sensitive being, and, this could be a really, really great week ahead for you. So, I hope that's helpful. If I can be of any help, then get in touch. All of my details are below. It's really simple to connect with me and stay in contact. So if I can be of help, then just, connect up with me. But if not, I'll catch you another time. Lots of love. Bye for now. Okay, so Leo, we are looking into your forecast, your spooky forecast, taking you from Monday, the 28th of October, right the way through to Sunday, the 3rd of November. I've spoken about the moon quite a bit in the day-to-day forecast, and also gone through the sort of day-by-day patterns. There's a really great forecast for you there. So just look at day-to-day forecast. But this one is specifically about the Leo energy. So whether it's your sun, your moon, or your ascendant, what I want to really cover in this is the new moon. Because obviously the new moon is the moon and the sun together, and the sun is your ruling planet. That's important. So the new moon is definitely something to cover. I also want to talk about the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine that's going on all week, which is deeply helpful. Then I've got also the Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square. So we've got Venus down here, Jupiter up here, and Saturn here. And then I don't want to forget the Mars-Pluto opposition, because this is huge. And this is the very first of 3 very strong and potent Mars-Pluto oppositions. Now, I'm going to start here actually, because there are 3 Mars-Pluto oppositions. This one happens on the 3rd of November. That's Sunday, the 3rd. And the next one, I think, is on the 2nd or 3rd of January. And then the last one is on the 27th of April. The subsequent oppositions are going from Leo to Aquarius. So this is the very last one across the polarity of Cancer and Capricorn. And, for you, the discomfort comes from having the Mars Cancer, part of this opposition in the 12th house, really showing up in the 12th, which is about your unconscious mind, and your unconscious self-sabotage, your beliefs and fears and behaviors that come from all of those beliefs and fears. And so what I really see is this opposition is playing out. It's playing out its last song with you. And then the next one that will appear in January is going to be in your across your first to 7th house. So, and that's going to start a whole new pattern every time for the next 20 years that Mars has an opposition to Pluto. They will be across your 1st and 7th houses. So there's a really strong theme here, going from your unconscious beliefs, in particular your beliefs and fears and things that hold you back from relating to other people, because as these move, it's going to be about your right for survival, your ability to feel strong in yourself, your ability to feel vital, in your own power, assertive, versus the manipulations of other people. So this is very strong. This is a really, really strong opposition. So what I would say is, with this opposition, be aware that there are some very uncomfortable feelings of where you seek to feel strong, but feel like maybe there are some unconscious behaviors holding you back. You know, it's like you're finishing your last assignment before you can go into this feeling of strength against people who would manipulate you. So right now, it just feels like with this opposition that there is something to do with your self-sabotage, your internal fears that are holding you back, that maybe your internal fears are stopping you in your tracks. So anytime you have a really extreme doubt about your ability to cope, write it down and get really up close and personal with it. You know, sit down, take some time and say, okay, what's going on here? You know, where has this unconscious pattern come from? Where has this fear come from? What is this fear protecting me from? How does this fear serve me? You know, because even fears, although fears sound terrible, you know, they are doing something important. They're keeping you safe somehow. You know, they're there for a reason, but you just need to get down to the core of it. Because every time you're having one of these self-doubts, there are people in and around your life that are getting involved in how you are running your life and what it might mean. And so it feels like you don't have full access to like your home, your health. It just feels like there's other people kind of nitpicking in from the other side. And Pluto here is encouraging you to be a bit ruthless at times. So it might be saying, well, I'm doubtful that I can do this on my own. I don't think I can quite cope on my own. I don't think I've got what it takes. And yet in your real life, you overcompensate and do more than you're actually capable of, possibly standing on other people's toes along the way. So it's like the lengths you'll go to get everything right for yourself. Whereas if you actually dealt with your inner insecurities, you'd find the ability to do it so that you don't have to maybe kind of boss somebody around to do it for you. So to me, there's a lot here about uncovering your internal self-sabotage, but not just your internal sabotage, but how you're sabotaging other people to come into your own power. Now, all of this is unconscious and, you know, it's passed down to us. So, you know, I'm not sharing this to say, oh, look at you and your self-sabotaging of other people, because we all do it. I do it. You know, we all have these times where we can't quite hear ourselves. You know, we are like disconnected from our humanity in a moment because we're fearful. And then all of a sudden this kind of rogue entity within us comes out and it seeks to get control and there it goes, it does its thing. So this is really important because, you know, as the next one comes up in January and then in April, it will be really directly affecting you and other people. So it's best to get really clear about what's yours, what starts with you, what ends with you, and how you're relating to other people. So that's the first part. Now, interestingly, both Mars and Pluto are both the rulers of Scorpio, and that's where the new moon is, and also where the sun is right now. So these themes of hidden capability and doubts about your capability are also playing out at home. You know, the sun coming through this part of your sign is really showing that, you know, you're really feeling quite strongly about how you can be a strong presence at home, how you can make things work at home. And then when the moon comes in, there is this new start to maybe change the way you're living, reset in terms of your family, maybe change your address. You know, maybe it's time to make a big decision about your home. But this is big. You know, this to me is an indication that there are changes that need to happen at home. You know, and they might be bigger, they might be smaller, but there is change coming. And so this new moon is perfect. It's the perfect time to plan your move. You know, and maybe you don't have all of the details, but maybe you know that you don't quite feel at home in your home. And that could be the big clue that you're thinking about on the time of the new moon. But it's essential to get that right, I think. Now, what's adding into all of this? There's another opposition that's really becoming extreme on the 3rd of November. So that's Sunday the 3rd. But we've got Venus here in your 5th house, really showing you how you want to light up your own life. And then you've got the pressure from Jupiter and all your friends and networks telling you how you should light up your life. And you know, as tension goes between these two benefics, it could be much worse. But it's almost like there is this ungrounded reality going on as well, whereby you're in this kind of creative phase, and then everyone else is in this creative phase, and there's all this sort of emphasis on what's external, rather than actually what's really deeply showing up for you right now. So I would also recommend that you look at where you're fluffing your life up a little bit, where you're being extra creative, and fair enough. I mean, it's lovely to be creative. I love creating new things and getting involved in things that appear to be absolutely in alignment with me. And to be fair, there's lots of people wanting to collaborate with you and to do things in joy. But actually right now, for this week ahead, I think it's more important that you focus on where you're living, because when you get your living right, you naturally go into a state of creativity. You know, once you feel safe and secure at home, it's a really natural thing to like be creative. Whereas now it just feels like it might be a little bit forced, so that you avoid having to look at what's going on. So just be aware of that. And there are people judging you in this as well. So you might still feel that there's judgments coming from home. And again, you might be trying to avoid that through creative outputs and then the distractions that friends are bringing you. The last thing then that I really want to focus on, and that is the effects of the Mars, Neptune and Mercury trine. Now they're working beautifully. They are absolutely highlighting the self-sabotage and the fears, and also showing where you're also your superhero, but maybe your hidden superhero. Maybe you've forgotten that you exist somewhere. And Neptune up here is reminding you of the family stories, and the family intuitions about you. So maybe around the time of Samhain or Halloween, you might connect in with your ancestors and, you know, and put the thought out there, you know, what talents and skills have I come in with as, you know, as a gift in my life right now? And what talents and skills have been passed down to me, and through me? Because again, that's where the real seat of your creativity will come from. And then, you know, finally, Mercury, you know, it's also in the fourth house, you know. So to me, I feel like you don't have to really leave the home to get a really good understanding of what you're hiding from yourself, but also where your superpowers might live, and to connect in intuitively to people that might know and be able to help you. And actually that would in and of itself resolve your home problem, you know. So I really think, to the degree that you can accept yourself and love yourself and recognize your patterns and inherently your superpowers, I think when you do that, things get much clearer at home and you don't have to force your creativity. So I hope that's helpful, Leo. You know, I guess my overall message to you is don't force it. You know, just absolutely keep in your own bandwidth, keep what feels joyful, keep going with what you know is true for you, and you'll be right as rain. If I can help you at all in this week ahead, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. So have a great week, a reflective one, and catch you next week when the tempo is rising up once again. So there you go. Speak to you soon. Bye for now. Hey there, Virgo. How you doing? So this is your forecast, a spooky forecast taking you from Monday, October the 28th to Sunday, the 3rd of November. So this is an interesting time. At this time of the year, we have Halloween, also known as Samhain, and the Day of the Dead, and All Saints. There's so many different names that this time of year bring up. But what really comes up to me is the fact that we've got this thinning of the veils. It's said to be a time when the veils of reality are really, really super thin, and that we can communicate with our ancestors and really tune in a very, very strong and intuitive way. Now, if you want more of a day-to-day forecast, really looking at the position of the moon and all of the different connections that the moon makes to all the different planets, then you must check out the first part of this show. under day-to-day forecast, and you'll get all of that. But in this short forecast, what I'm looking at is the prevalent patterns that are coming up from the perspective of Virgo. So whether you're Virgo sun, moon, or ascendant, this is how I really see it affecting you. So I'm going to be talking about the Mars-Pluto opposition. Now, I will be doing a separate video about the Mars-Pluto opposition, but suffice to say, it's pretty big news this week when it becomes exact on Sunday the 3rd. We've also got the new moon in Scorpio on Friday the 1st of November, just after Halloween. We've also got a Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square. So Venus is down here, Jupiter and Saturn, which is causing some interesting sort of scenarios. And Venus and Jupiter are exact on the 3rd of November. And we've also got the Mars, Neptune and Mercury trine. Now, this is important to you because Mercury is your ruling planet. And later on in this week ahead, on the 2nd of November, on Saturday, Mercury is actually going into the sign of Sagittarius. So it really does feel like a scene changer for you. So let's dive in and explore this. So where I want to go first, I think, is let's have a look at your ruler. So Mercury in the trine, the ongoing trine with Mars and Neptune. So what is this representing? Well, here we've got your desire for your desire for like your sovereign vitality, your energy, your ability to know who you are and what you stand for. Mars is really, really strong. It's a strong planet. It really shows our recovery. And in the 11th house, it's really showing about strong friendships. And also how some of your friendship groups and networks are pretty strong right now, maybe too strong, who knows? But it's really talking about strength and strength in numbers. And then we've also got Neptune, which has been in your 7th house for a really, really long time. And it's coming to the end of its time in the sign of Pisces. And Neptune here is absolutely supporting Mars. So we've got this action that becomes available to do with our spirituality, our spiritual feelings towards the people in our lives, the spiritual context of what it is to be part of a community. And then you've got Mercury down here in the 3rd house, another social house, very much about your community, the people in your life, your close friends, your siblings, cousins, etc., etc. It's like your peer group. And so Mercury, so it's your mind and your communication, your spirituality and creativity, and your ability to take action. So I see this trine as being very enabling, really, really helping you to reach your friends, your close friends, and your family and loved ones with a spiritual pitch. To me, it feels like you're able to share your thoughts really in a place of deep articulation. You're really able to get them out and to share in such a way that it could inspire people around you to take action. So Virgos, you are really, really strong at the moment. This is, I think, a superpower, being able to inspire and influence the people around you. It's a lot of responsibility that's coming up with that. So it's worth being aware of how special that skill set is. Now, the Venus, Saturn and Jupiter T-square is interesting because, Venus right now is in your 4th house, really, again, emphasizing how important it is to feel comfortable at home and to feel comfortable around your family, to feel comfortable around the people that you love. And Jupiter is right up here, in your 10th house, really showing that you might have a lot of bombastic, arrogant, very confident, overly proud people coming up in your career. Maybe you've got bosses that are like that, or that there are authority figures that are showing those kind of characteristics at the moment. And it just feels like there's some tension between being home and comfortable and being away around these bossy people. Or maybe you're the person that needs to be a bit bossy at the moment, that is absolutely, kind of like taking center stage, being really forthright, being like really full of confidence, and standing really, really strong. It's fascinating. These two in opposition, like they're basically two planets that feel quite comfortable with each other in opposition, really showing that, you almost want the best of both worlds. And actually that whilst you're in both of these worlds, a home and away, and feeling very, very sort of comfortable and feeling very elevated, these two in opposition, often you lose track of what you're really feeling. You kind of go off on your own waft of superiority, and so might not be very, very grounded in your life. And so I think it's really important to really focus on the community impact that you can have, because you could easily get pulled out of your sense of proportion, which I know Virgos really value. So, you could really get pulled out of your sense of proportion, and things could really, really blow up. Now, Saturn here in your 7th as well is showing that if you're overblowing yourself in your career, that you're likely to get really judged by the people in your life. So to me, it's showing a little bit of tension, all the time you're doing stuff that feels good at home and also feels good in your career. It also feels like there are some people that are almost wanting you to not do so well, that are trying to hold you back a little bit. And so again, you might ask yourself, well, where has that come from? Where is that me being myself and feeling great and magnificent and stuff, and yet other people wanting to kind of knock me down a little bit? So it's an interesting little scenario that you might be aware of, and hopefully not, but if you are feeling judged, it may have to do with how you're perceiving yourself and how larger than life you're appearing right now. But really, I think this ties in beautifully to the Mars and Pluto opposition, because, Mars is really showing you where you can be strong right now, and you can be strong with your friends around you and your networks. You're really doing well in terms of your networks. It's very easy for you to have the right voice, and all of a sudden people are listening. And then there are the Pluto archetypes showing up very much in the 5th house. And you might notice this, like all of these archetypes essentially live within you. So for instance, when you hear people judge you, it's most likely what you've already judged yourself for. And when you're being a little bit high and mighty, and enjoying your career quite a lot, enjoying the spoils of it, and why wouldn't you? There's probably a voice in your head saying, did I go too far? Am I a bit too much at the moment? And then where everything is peaceful at home here, you're probably saying, oh, well, it can't last, can it? So you've got all these different archetypes. Now, there's two others I really want to sort of drill down into. And this Pluto one is that part of you that will go, that will go to extreme limits, extreme levels to get its own way. So the Pluto side of you, which may well be coming out, or be triggered right now, is that side of you, most likely a childlike side that is very happy to be quite manipulative. And this is most likely the most suppressed side of you that you've got, because most of us suppress the things that we don't like about ourselves, or the things where we might catch ourselves out or feel a bit uncomfortable about. And manipulation and guilt definitely fall on those. But Pluto will go to great lengths to step over people or clamber over people, to be seen as better, to be seen as the victor. Pluto can be quite jealous and possessive, and really fixed in their emotions. So you might ask yourself, well, where am I really super fixed in my emotions right now that might be preventing me from doing well and feeling good in myself? But Pluto is also, I think, the manipulations that we don't necessarily realize that we're under, or that we're doing. So they might have come from things like people pleasing, or some strategy that you developed in childhood to get your own way. It might just be that when things get too much, you burst into tears in just in front of the right person. And it feels so natural now that you don't realize that it's part of a pattern. See, this is the thing that's coming up with this Pluto and Mars opposition, is we've got patterns of survival that are coming up. And obviously, on the one hand, Mars is there to show us how we thrive on our own, off our own backs, how we stand strong, and how we make a way for ourselves, like we do it for ourselves. Whereas Pluto has ways of getting other people to do it for us, or has ways of kind of stealing somebody else's power to be powerful. And of course, that's not pleasant to realize that you might have that going on. And of course, it's easy to recognize it might be going on when we see it in other people. So, one of the things that's being really triggered right now is your need to stand strong for yourself versus the older need and methods that you might have had to get your life right. And what I really see with this opposition is we have the choice right now. And of course, we're at this deeply sensitive time where, the veils are supposedly thin, and we can connect to our ancestors and get a real sense of the past, and also get a sense of connection and possibly support from our ancestors. And so, it's a time when I think it's almost dangerous to not see our patterns, the patterns that are playing out, our patterns of survival that we might not be proud of, that we might be a little bit embarrassed or ashamed of, because these are the ones that our ancestors can see right through. They can see us doing it because, let's face it, they probably set that up for us. They were doing that as well. But we have the choice. And I think that where we're really ghoulish in our behavior, we might be pulling some of the ghoulishness out of the realms and into our life. And so I just think it's a really important week to get our energy right, for you to feel that you are on the right track, for you to feel that you're able to survive in life, that you have the ability to be able to put your life right. When something goes wrong, you have the ability and the choice to make your own decision. And you also have the choice to use old patterns of coercion, old patterns of manipulation that may well have worked. And you might also choose not to do that. I think if you make the right choices for yourself in this week ahead, you can get a lot more support from the other realms, if you believe in them, that is. So again, I really think it's your choice and it's up to you. There really is this kind of insidious pattern at the moment that is coming up, and that will be present for quite some time with this Mars and Pluto opposition, really challenging what we think we need to survive and the lengths we'll go to survive. And, how we can argue away things that we would never argue away in other situations. And so it's really dangerous seeing that this is coming up just 2 days before the American election. And then there's a third, there's 3 of them in total. So we've got this one on the 3rd of November. We've got one on the 2nd or 3rd of January, and then one on the 27th of April. So this archetype is with us a long time. So, we've got time to practice with it. And if I was in your shoes right now, which I'm not because I'm not a Virgo, but if I was, and I obviously have my own work to do here, I absolutely recognize and recommend that you look at any kind of hidden manipulations or hidden unfairnesses that you're helping to perpetuate right now. And you'll recognize them probably with some discomfort, because you just feel a bit uncomfortable when you say something or when you think something, it's that sense that something is not quite right, or you might just be skating on thin ice. And if you get that feeling at all at any point that you're taking a wrong move, then all you need to do is just appreciate yourself, recognize that that's what's happened, and make the right decision. Make the decision to be courageous, make the decision to be upstanding, make the decision to stand on your own 2 feet, and to know that you don't have to cheat any kind of system at all, like life, like family, like money, like whatever. There's this really strong, Scorpio, is one of those signs that a lot of people feel uncomfortable talking about, because Scorpio represents all that's hidden and all that, all the subterfuge, the lies, the trickeries, the deceit. It also shows the birth, life and death. And of course, most people try and cheat death. We're always trying to cheat the patterns of life. And so, Scorpio is a place of deep discomfort, but it's also a place of where we resurrect. It's also a place of where we come into forgiveness. And it's also a place where we grow stronger. So the more you can bring this kind of darkness into the light of day and see it for what it is, I think it's really, really beneficial. And if you can do it before Halloween, and in time for the new moon, then I see you're coming into a really strong place. One of the things I love about this position here with the new moon is that it's in your third house. It's giving you a new start within your community, a start that has strength, balance. It's got a certain amount of equilibrium, like the sun and the moon together. It's bringing out the darkness within your community and transmuting it into light. So I see that you've got a really strong role to play there. And so, I guess I see that this is a really important week ahead for you. And next week, the energy gets like so much bigger because, we've got, not only have we got Mercury just changed signs into Sagittarius, but Mars is changing signs into the sign of Leo. So there is a whole new impetus and a whole new pace. So give yourself some love and attention, and don't be afraid to see, maybe where you've made mistakes, sort of celebrate them, like recognize you've made mistakes, but then see, wow, I can see this and it's okay. And, all the time we have got something shameful or embarrassing or slightly covert that we just don't want it to get into the light of day. There is this coercibility that all of us have, and other people who are extremely manipulative can absolutely pick up on the hooks that we're just putting there for them to like dump their stuff on and to manipulate us with. So like stay as pure as you can. And I absolutely see that this spooky week ahead can actually be a week that is transforming, one that you'll look back on and feel deep gratitude for. You are in a strong time of change right now, my friend. So I hope that's helpful to you. So have a great week ahead. I hope you enjoy your celebrations in the way that you're accustomed to and at work for you. Happy new moon on the 1st. And keep it real. If there's anything I can do to help you in the meantime, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. And we can work together. So if I don't hear from you, I'll check in with you next week, most likely. So have a great one, and catch you for this kind of phenomenally charged week next week. I'm slightly nervous about it already, but anyway, it's all good. So catch you next time. Bye for now. Hey Libra, so this is your forecast for the week ahead, starting October the 28th, that's Monday, taking you right the way through to Sunday the 3rd. Now, in the first part of this video, I've got a section called Day-to-Day Forecast. That's where you need to go if you want to check out my thoughts about the moon as it passes through all the different signs, and also the really strong planetary alignments that we've got. In this forecast, this short forecast, what I'm looking at are the prevailing, like the strongest aspects that I'm seeing, and that's what I really want to comment about. Now, there's a real sort of Halloween-y theme, and I don't know what your thoughts about Halloween are. I've shared mine in part 1, but Halloween, All Hallows Eve, the Day of the Dead, All Saints Day, Samhain. There's so many different ways of thinking about it, and essentially, I know this as a time personally, as a time when the veils are really thin. Between here and there, between us and our ancestors and us and all that is. To me, it feels like the mystery is so much closer to us. And that is such a great theme for Scorpio, which is, the sign that is absolutely known for mystery and secrets, and mastery and magic and a lot of darkness that can be transmuted into light. So there is a really strong theme of dark to light in this week ahead. Now, your ruling planet is Venus, so I'm going to be paying Venus some attention. I'll go there first, in fact. Venus is in a T-square with Jupiter and also Saturn pretty much all week. Now, Venus and Jupiter in an opposition isn't that difficult necessarily. It can show that we've got overblown ways of relating to people. We're a bit over the top, over optimistic. We might be a bit too proud. We might be a bit too much on easy street. We want to just relax and take it so easy that we don't get anything done. But essentially, these two are showing up between your 3rd and 9th houses. Again, the houses that are showing up for you and this opposition are quite benign. Venus in the 3rd house is really showing the comfort that you can experience from your local environment, your local friends, your neighborhood. and how you might be wanting to share the flow there. And then, Jupiter up here is also showing, a sense of wanting to be out there, being in a sort of bigger context, like being in the outer world with your ideas completely firmly out there. So I really feel that any tension around Venus and Jupiter is in maintaining these two pockets of information, the local, the known, the narrative versus the slightly mysterious because it's slightly foreign, the spiritual, the religious, the sort of collective, the philosophical, the political, all of these other views that don't quite fit in here and take you completely outside of your local environment. So to me, the big pull for you is in terms of the views. But we've also got, like how you are viewing life. And it's not that tragic. But where it does get a little bit sticky is where Saturn is involved, because, Saturn is currently in this very operational part of your life. And so, a Saturn here is saying, it doesn't matter how well you get on with people, and it doesn't matter what your views are. Like, how are you actually doing your life right now? Are you paying attention? In actual fact, it just feels like you're kind of floating away in all these different directions. But then there's another opposition that's very, very strong this week, and that's the Mars-Pluto opposition. And that's coming into effect on the 3rd, but it's already in opposition. But there's going to be 3 oppositions. So there's the one on the 3rd of November, one on the 2nd or 3rd of January, and then one on the 27th of April. Now, these are pulling us apart in terms of our ideas of survivability. We've got aspects and programs running inside ourselves about how we stay alive, how we stay safe. Mars is absolutely looking to take responsibility and take action and wanting to be courageous. Mars is trying to get you to stand for what is yours. And then Pluto is, I think, Pluto is very transformative, but will do anything to get the power. And so here we've got another form of stability that we might activate, and that might come through the lengths we'll go to get our own way. And most likely your Pluto side doesn't come up very often, but your Mars side comes up much more often because, the Pluto side, as he's showing up right now, I think is really highlighting the kinds of manipulations we might have learned from our parents and our siblings and our early environment. Pluto is showing us some of our very first survival tactics that came up, where we would have lied or stepped on somebody else or, taken advantage of somebody else's good fortune and accept it as our own, like we would, take advantage of somebody else's achievements. And it's a kind of theft. It's a cheating your way to security, so it's interesting that Pluto right now for you is in the 4th house going into the 5th very soon. And Mars is up here at the 10th, which is, where you're standing in the world and standing for what you believe in and standing for what you think is right. And you're not pulling any tricks, but you're being very straight and very honorable. And so there are these two sides. And, there might be this overarching thing that you want to get done, that you want to happen in your life right now. And it feels like you've got the devil and not an angel exactly, Mars, but like you've got the devil and you've got like a warrior on your shoulders, and they're both trying to get you to do what it takes to survive. But right now, I think, especially with the timing of Halloween, All Saints, the fact that our ancestors are so close by and they can support us, they can give us clues, like I think a lot of magic type stuff happens around this time. I think this is a time to be really careful about how you're using your energy, and that even if it feels like everybody else is being underhand, even if it feels like everyone else is cheating their way, even if people are pulling out all stops and not caring about anyone else around them just to get their own way, that you might, even though that might be happening, you've still got the choice to behave honorably. And, I'm pretty sure you are honorable because you're watching this channel, and I think we're all kind of projecting and reflecting off each other. So, I'm pretty sure we're all good guys here. But even all of us can make mistakes and have made mistakes and have used manipulations and have learnt that some manipulations might work. And so it's really important to get really clear on your energy, because this is the very last opposition between Mars and Pluto in these signs. The next two that are coming up are going to be across Leo and Aquarius. And you're setting a whole new scene for bravery and valor and standing for yourself, like true courage. And so why not get it right? You know, that's what really comes up for me. Now, this lovely grand trine between Mars and Mercury and Neptune is giving you the intuition, the intuitive drive to know how to build your business in a way that is absolutely right for you. So it's helping you organize your life intuitively. It's helping you to stand strong and clear about what it is that you do. And you're also able to talk about it with this lovely sort of like Mercury energy here. So this is all here to help you really beautifully. So the last thing I want to just really mention then is the new moon that's happening on the 1st of November. It's Friday the 1st. It's at 9 degrees in the sign of Scorpio, and it's in the second house. This new moon is really going to give you a lift up in terms of how much money you earn, how you earn it, how comfortable and competent you feel as an earner, and also how you rise up in your self-esteem. I really emphasize the fact that, you know, obviously Scorpio, the energy of Scorpio will go above and beyond to get its needs met. And it can go in both of those ways. Both Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio. But this is also about your self-esteem. And so here you've got the regenerative and the resurrection kind of themes of Scorpio, you know, where you might be relinquishing all of those things that you now see can have hurt you in the past. You're letting go of those things and you're forgiving them and really welcoming back into you your inner core strength. And that's where it's all at right now, as far as I can see. So I hope that's helpful for you, Libra. You know, like absolutely play to your utter strength, your true strength. I think your ancestors and whoever you may well be in connection with will be hearing you, supporting you and cheering you on. You're on the leading edge of your family timeline. So there you go. So I hope that was helpful. If I can be of any other help, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. Just invite me to work with you. It's really easy. But if not, let's connect again real soon. I'll be doing a forecast for next week. And I have to say the astrology for that is really knockout. So whew, these are very, very strong times. So have a great one, Libra, and catch you real soon. Bye for now. Okay, Scorpio. Now, this is a big one because obviously we're in Scorpio season. We've got Scorpio new moon coming up. We've got Halloween, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, and Samhain. You know, we've got this time of year that you know is known for having thin veils. You know, where we are able to connect with our ancestors. We're able to get guidance. We're able to get support. We're able to celebrate our family line and to have clear vision as to how we move, you know, forwards. So in this short forecast, what I'm looking at are the overarching patterns of this week ahead. Now, it just so happens that both of your ruling planets, Mars and also Pluto, are in an opposition and they form one of these patterns. In fact, Mars is involved in two of them. This is a very, very strong time for Scorpios. And I don't know if you're listening from the perspective of Scorpio ascendant, sun or moon, but this is all to capture the Scorpio energy. So yeah, this is big. And then the new moon in Scorpio is even bigger. So lots going on. What I'm going to do is just first of all signpost that if you're wanting a day by day breakdown, then check out the day to day forecast in part 1 of this video. You'll see it. I talk about the moon changing signs. I also talk about all of the planetary connections and the overarching theme for each of the days. But in this, I'm really just talking about these patterns. So I'm going to start with the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine, which I think is beautifully lined up for you. I say you, it's us. I've got Scorpio rising. So, you know, Mercury in Scorpio is very incisive. Your brain is really firing on all synapses. It just feels like you're really alive. You can really process things really easily and with a lot of depth. and tons of clarity. Mars up here in the 9th is giving you this very, very strong desire to study, this desire to learn, this desire to kind of run into the adventure of life. There's so many new things that are kind of challenging and exciting and pushing you out of your usual comfort zone, and into a whole new reality. And it's great. It's truly great. And you might very well exhaust yourself with it. So, that's also good. And of course, with your mind working fast, it's all just, it's like you're a super processor right now. And then with Neptune slowly coming to the end of its time in this part of your chart, Neptune is really showing you lots of creativity, lots of divine inspiration. And so I really see that this is like a divine calling into what you're learning right now and to what you can apply into your life. So whatever captures your attention right now, you have the ability and the brain and the attention to be able to install it and to use it. So this is absolutely very, very useful. So use this as much as you can. The Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square is an interesting one because we've got Venus here in the 2nd house, which is quite helpful. It really shows money coming in, the easy flow of money, and the ability to feel quite upbeat about yourself, like you see your good points, you're feeling a higher sense of self-esteem, and other people are mirroring that. It's really, really helpful. And yet over here, Jupiter is directing a lot of energy back into other people's money. So maybe people that you've collaborated with, maybe people that you have shared investments with. And it just feels like other people have too much kind of grasp over what you're earning right now, and too much influence. And, maybe there are people out there that are trying to put their expectations, very hefty and very lofty expectations on you, and you just might not want it. There's nothing too bad about this opposition that's playing out. However, it is destabilizing and it's ungrounding. So, when you're thinking about your earnings, think of them lightly and with joy, and how you can earn more, and recognize how you can feel good about yourself. When you're looking at the shared assets that you've got with other people, recognize that people are wanting the best for you, and there are some really big shared psychological patterns between you. Feel softly and gently about both, because here's like the crunch point here is we've got Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn in Pisces is kind of judging us. And we might be judging our own ability to create. We might be judging our own ability to feel joy and to feel love and to feel lit up with what we're doing, because we're being pulled this way into our earnings and pulled that way into our shared assets. But really, we might just want to be focusing on where we can lift ourselves up with our creations. So it's interesting, like there are, I think, streams of energy right now helping you to create more. So you might just want to kind of ignore both of the calls for money and actually focus on how creative you are and how much joy it brings you. Oh, that was quicker than I was expecting. The next part then is where it gets a little bit sticky, because we're really diving into the archetype of Scorpio. So Scorpio is known, according to whether you're traditional or a modern day astrologer, but Mars and Pluto are both known as being rulers of the sign of Scorpio. And, right now we're in Scorpio season. The sun's in Scorpio. The moon is going to meet the sun on Friday the 1st at 9 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. So there's a very strong Scorpio theme, and the two rulers are in opposition. And this doesn't happen often. It happens every couple of years, like every 2 and a bit years. And whilst this opposition is usually active for like maybe up to a week, right now this opposition is in place. And because Mars is about to go retrograde, and because he's going retrograde, this opposite, and then we'll go direct again. This opposition is really playing out 3 times. And this is really big for the Scorpio sun, moon, or ascendant, because our two rulers are working in opposition. So this is working on split archetypes within us. And when we look in the big world, we can also see how the Pluto archetypes and the Mars archetypes are working. So let me talk about those. You know, we've got these oppositions playing out now, like the 3rd of November, then the 2nd and 3rd of January, and then the 27th of April. So they're with us for a long time. We need to get a grip on them. So what do they represent? Well, I think they represent our need to thrive and survive. It's about our survivability. And if you know about Mars, you know, like the sign of Scorpio, you know, it's got a sting in its tail, the scorpion. You know, if you get too close, if you're going to hurt it, it's got these defensive mechanisms. And so, you know, you might be wondering, okay, so how are my defensive mechanisms playing out, and how am I fighting against myself right now? So I see that we've got our Mars sign, and that is us, that is standing strong, standing for our rights, standing up for yourself. It's where you have that sense of courageously being in your power, knowing what's yours, and standing up for it. Not worrying if you get defeated, because you're just true to the fight. You're true to your survival. You're not trying to manipulate it. You're just there as a warrior for yourself. Not a worrier, but a warrior, you know, like you are a warrior in terms of ready for the fight. Now, here's the survivability planet archetype, and that is Pluto. Now, Pluto is interesting because Pluto is known as being quite secretive. He is all powerful, and Pluto is known for taking things much further than us mere mortals are happy to go. So Pluto shows the kinds of actions we might take to get our own way. And, you know, for most of us, and I'm sure everyone listening, for most of us, we will take action when we have to. And yeah, we might in the past have done some manipulations. We might have been aware of it, where we've lied, where we've distorted the truth a little bit to get outcomes in a certain way. But most of us grow out of it. However, that archetype still does live within us, you know. We learn it as children because our parents aren't clear, they're not straight. Who grows up with really straight parents, you know, that are honorable and clear and not in a whole level, like, or several levels of hypocrisy, you know, like we learn about all these little white lies early on, and we learn that there are distortions, it's okay. And so Pluto represents what we'll do to get our own way. And so you've got both of these working against you. It's almost like a fight right now, and I see this as a choice, especially in the week of Halloween, where the veils are really thin. And I honestly, truly believe that there are entities out there that aren't very kind, and there are beings out there that are absolutely beautiful, and that we are in this sort of perpetual light and dark kind of scenario, and maybe there's something completely behind it, like all of life fits in this, you know, both light and dark fit in the subset of life, but you know, so life is the thing that keeps this all going, but the duality is really quite difficult to understand. And so we always have a choice as to whether we want to assert ourselves honorably or dishonorably, or in secret or in shame, or do something that doesn't quite fit our modus operandi, you know, that doesn't fit our moral compass, where we're not being straight with others and therefore we're not being straight with ourselves. And of course, we all know, don't we, because we've all experienced this at some point, that when you tell a lie, it normally involves telling other lies to hide the previous lies, and so on and so forth. It grows, you know. So when you take the easy way out, it's not the easy way out at all. You know, it creates a whole shit show of stuff going mega wrong at some point, and you living in fear of everything being revealed. And so these two are really, really strong right now, and they are showing as an internal fight. And so my advice to you, you know, if you're interested, is no matter what you want to get right now, and you know, no matter how you want it to happen, choose wisely, because I really think when these veils are thin, if you're channeling the energies that do not feel wholesome, and if you're chasing things that you know are not right or true, or you know, that are exploiting people, then you might end up attracting more of that exploiting energy. You know, you're sowing yourself into a bed of pain. You're sowing all the seeds for pain and misery, and not the truth. And at this time when who knows what is out there, as these veils are a bit thinner, you know, and people are actively calling in people around the time of Halloween, you know, who knows what's going on. But it's a time of, I think, dark versus light. And I think it's a real time to choose how you want to be and how you want your contribution to be. So yeah, I think these are really, really strong. Now, why it's so important for you, and I will be talking about this in a much bigger episode, literally just about Mars and Pluto. You know, this is the very last time that this opposition is coming up in Cancer and Capricorn. It will be going into Leo and Aquarius. And thereafter, like from January onwards, every single opposition for the next 20 years between these two characters is going to be across Leo and Aquarius. We're into a new pattern. So we are finishing off our pattern of how we gain in life, you know, because Pluto is absolutely about gains, isn't he? You know, Pluto in Capricorn is very corporate, is very much about power and status. And so we are getting very clear about the lengths we'll go to. I think the more we resolve things and battles within ourselves, the easier it gets for everyone else, you know, as above, so below. But again, you might not believe that. That might not be your model of the world. I'm just sharing this from my own sense of it. And of course, it's really interesting, you know, that we're coming into the time of the American elections. You know, this is going exactly live, you know, 2 days before the elections. So this is a very, very strong feeling. And of course, it brings up a lot of anger between us, you know, like if we think that someone, you know, that we know is not being fair, is not being true, is being underhand somehow, is manipulating something. So I think it's really, really sensible to watch out for any kind of manipulations you're aware of that are coming towards you, and also where you might have used manipulations. And that includes people pleasing. I'm sorry to say that, because I'm a massive people pleaser myself. I like to think of myself as a recovering people pleaser, because I can realize, I recognize that pattern came up for me in early childhood, you know, where it felt I needed to be a people pleaser to survive. And, you know, I think that's how it does come up, you know, and we think, oh, well, we're pleasing people, it's okay, but it's really not. Well, I mean, it's better than, you know, some of the other alternatives that we might use to survive. But, you know, watch your manipulations, because they will kind of draw you into something much bigger. So this is a time to be courageous and to stand strong for who you are, which is what's leading me on to the last part, which is the new moon at 9 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. You know, this is this is an important new moon. It's emphasizing your personality, your body, your strength. It's emphasizing your clarity and your fierceness as well. And your resurrection. You know, all of the themes of Scorpio that most people know about just seem to be very dark and deep, but there's such a lightness that comes from it. It's one of my favorite signs. You know, you have to go to the dark to really see the light. You know, it gives you such polarity, it gives you such contrast, that from all of the darkness that you might experience as somebody with a strong Scorpio chart, you recognize what feels good in a way that no other sign can recognize. And so I really see that this new moon is there to help you connect into your lighter side in life, you know, to recognize what isn't working, to recognize where you've been manipulated and victimized, and also where you've taken it on yourself, and to let these pass. Not to say they're forgiven, not to say that they're forgotten, sorry. You know, and it's your choice if you choose to forgive yourself and others. I recommend you do, because it's easier. But you know, there are all these old patterns that are playing themselves out in your brain right now, and they're not paying you any rent. They're just like taking up your mind. Wouldn't it be good to just have a clean sweep and get rid of those, and focus on what you do want? And that is to live with clarity and purpose, and to feel really, really free to be yourself, and to bring some of that fierceness back. You know, fierceness is important sometimes. So there you go. I hope that helps. I really do hope that helps you in this week ahead. Next week is going to be really quite fascinating, seeing as this Pluto Mars is moving into Leo. So that's one of your rulers. So join me next week for that. In the meantime, if I can be any help, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. All you have to do is invite me to work with you, and it's as easy as that. So take care and speak to you all soon. Bye for now. Hey there, Sagittarius. So this is your week ahead forecast, taking you from Monday, the 28th of October to Sunday, the 3rd of November. This is a bit of a spooky week ahead. We've got Halloween, which you might know as Samhain. It might be All Saints' Day, or Hallows Eve, the Day of the Dead. It's a very important time of year for a lot of people, and represents a time when the veils are thin between realities, where apparently our ancestors can be in communication with us, where we can hear them and where we can get support from them, where we can ask them advice and stuff. So it's a really interesting and possibly deeply magical time. I also think it's a time when we need to get our energies right, like really get them right. So in this forecast, I'm not talking about the nitty gritty because I've spoken about that in the day-to-day forecast. You should check that out. That's earlier in this show where I talk about what's happening on each day, and how you might choose to use that information, use those energies. In this short forecast, what I'm looking at is the Mars-Pluto opposition, which is coming in. It's the first of three, and it is really strong, super duper strong, worth paying some attention to. I'm talking about the new moon in Scorpio, highlighting this very intuitive part of your chart. So that's important. I'm also talking about the Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter T-square. Obviously, Jupiter is your ruling planet. I say yours, it's mine as well. I'm a Sagittarius sun. So, this is quite an important T-square that's going on right now. And also the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine that's going on all week. So, there's a lot of patterns to be going on with. Where shall I start? Well, first of all, I want to talk about the energies of the Mars-Pluto opposition, because they're already in opposition, but they go exactly into opposition on the 3rd of November. And then once again, I think on the 2nd or 3rd of January, and then again on the 27th of April. But they are in opposition to each other really since the 14th of October, right the way through to mid-May of next year. So it's a long time that they're in opposition to each other. And normally this is sort of finished within a week. So this is pretty big. This is also the last one between Mars and Pluto in the polarity of Capricorn and Cancer. The next one in January and the one in April and thereafter for the next 20 years are going to be across the signs of Leo and Aquarius. So we are closing down a pattern to do with Mars and Pluto when they're in opposition. Now, Mars and Pluto are both the rulers of Scorpio, and Scorpio for you is a place of deep intuition. So this opposition at some level is representing your intuitive and hidden and fundamental sort of systemic archetypes that you might not be able to see or understand necessarily, but they are the inner programs that are working all the time. And so I think it's important just to have a little bit of focus on these because, I see both of them as being agents of security, in as much as they help to keep you safe. They are keeping you vital. Mars in particular really wants to be in control. Mars wants power, but not like power over everyone else. He just wants to have self-mastery and self-power. And then Pluto wants power over everyone else and every other thing. Pluto wants power, like complete power. So they are both two powerful archetypes. And, one, which is Mars, is wanting to stand up on his own, like stand strong, stand firm, know what is his and what's not his. And he will get his own way, but he'll do it by standing up for himself. And he'll be very direct and very independent about it. Then we got Pluto that will use whatever he can to get his own way. You know, Pluto is hidden. And you don't often see the hand behind, like if you imagine the governments, and now I think most of the governments are actually, you know, like there are companies bigger than our governments right now. You know, there are companies that have a bigger turnover, you know, and there are institutions that are more powerful than our governments. And behind those, you know, we often don't know the names of the people who have immense power. And that's a real sort of Scorpio Pluto thing, you know, the fact that we don't really know, like we know the sort of lackeys at the government level and maybe some heads of some companies, but like really, really behind the scenes, it's hidden. It's really secret. And, you know, Pluto is like that in us. Like we have a side of us that we can't necessarily access, we can't see, we don't really realize that we're doing it, and it's deeply manipulative. You know, it's hidden. It's that level of power that will do anything to stay in charge. And so we learn how to manipulate as children, you know, because we learn from parents who are master manipulators. You know, sorry, I grew up in a generation believing in an Easter bunny and Father Christmas. They're not true, you know. So there are all these different types of things that might seem harmless, but they're actually manipulations to help us help ourselves. That's really good, isn't it? You know, we're only doing this for your safety. Okay, right. Yeah, I got you. So there's lots of different manipulations that can go on behind the scenes. And so what I would suggest, if I was in your shoes, and I am, given that I'm a Sagittarius, you know, we need to understand where we might be manipulating ourselves, where we might be playing these games ourselves, and where we might be underhand. And it's not always easy to see, especially with the Sagittarius kind of energy, you know, because Sagittarians tend to be pretty, you know, they're not necessarily known for being vicious or selfish or nasty. You know, they're known for, maybe like being self-involved sometimes, like getting their needs met. You know, they will go off and be independent and have fun, but they are known for having fun, having good times, not having those clunky, awkward, difficult times. You know, Sagittarians value a certain level of freedom, and, you know, Sagittarius really value truth. And so to find out you might have an inner manipulator behind the scenes that's always operating within you can be quite distressing. But it might be there. And so this is really showing up between our two poles of how we get our lives needs met. You know, are we standing strong and saying that this is what I need, and this is what I'm standing for, and I'm going to keep working towards this? Or are we, you know, doing a little old program that seems quite harmless enough? It might be a bit manipulative. We might be kind of twisting things a little bit to get our needs met. And it looks innocent. Now, you know, we're coming up into some very sort of high stake times where I think we're going to see, and I think we're already seeing it on a big level, that, you know, there are powers projecting onto each other saying, you're doing this, whilst they're doing it, and vice versa. And I think the ideas of cheating, the lengths that people will go to get their own way and to get their needs met, all of these things are coming out. And so, you know, this is the time for each of us individuals to be able to work on this as well. And this is coming up really in your second house and your eighth house. You know, Mars here is wanting to clear through a lot of crap that we've inherited from our parents. It's wanting to clear through the clunky psychology, the difficult, veiled kind of context that we live our lives in. Anywhere where there's something unclear, Mars is standing strong and saying, look, that doesn't make sense to me. I just want some clarity. Can you explain again? You know, Mars is standing and taking responsibility to clear any of the debris of, you know, energy to do with our expectations that we share with each other, the expectations we put on our shoulders, the blame, shame, guilt and anger, the shared inheritances, you know, all sorts of things that are coming from the family dynamic. You have an appetite right now to clear it and clear it and clear it and clear it. That's great. But Pluto here is in the last throes of your second house. And it might be showing how far you'll go to get the job done, what you'll do to stay in charge in your job, what you'll do to go to the next level. And that's the thing that you might want to look at, because soon, Pluto's going to be here, and the oppositions will take place here. But, as Pluto comes here, wouldn't it be great to learn this lesson about how far you're willing to go in terms of your career, how much you're prepared to distort things for yourself to make things work? So this might be the opposition where you actually say, you know what, I realize that I'm in a pattern here, and I don't want this pattern anymore. It doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel comfortable to push myself and push myself and push myself even more just so that I can earn more money or do more this, that, and the other. So this is some deep inquiry that's going on, I would say. And also the second house is not just about earning money. It's also about your self-esteem. So you might also, be looking at how you can feel more stable and secure without needing to have these little kind of weird programs that are going on. So my advice to you is look out for those programs. If you see those coming up, if you all of a sudden get this feeling like you've just taken yourself off your moral compass, then get back on it. Give yourself a moment to recognize it and then think, okay, I'm done with that now. And remember, this is a week ahead where the veils are thinner and there's support around for us. I think there's a lot of psychic support. There's a lot of empathic support. Our ancestors, I truly believe our ancestors are rooting for us. We're at the leading edge of the family line, that they are part of, even though they're not here with us anymore. We are the leading edge. They have our backs. So this is a time to make the right choices so that you feel the right level of support. The new moon then in Scorpio is again bringing up this idea about your unconscious desires and where they're playing up. Now, the 12th house is a place of a lot of intuition and a lot of fears. And also it's the seat of where these funny little patterns come up. So, it would be good to recognize what you can, so that around the time of the new moon, you're feeling clearer and ready to move forwards. It might just be why do I always get back here again, and then self-sabotage, So if you're getting closer and closer to yourself, it's almost like, one of those Scooby-Doo mysteries, and you're getting closer and closer, and then finally they lift the lid, they lift the veil, funnily enough, the hood from the person that is the perpetrator, and it's yourself. You are your own creepy janitor. You are the person that's been doing this to yourself. So you get around these patterns in life, and then you find yourself back at the beginning again, wondering what the hell is going on? Why am I back here? It's you that's doing it to yourself. So this new moon, and everyone that's showing up is showing up in your game. There are characters in your life that are playing out these same patterns for you, so you get to the bottom of it. So this is really deep, and this new moon, I think, can cut through the BS that you've been living by. And I say me as well. Like I said, I'm a Sagittarius. So use this to reprogram your mind. Have the intention of clearing the stuff that doesn't make sense anymore. Recognizing it doesn't make sense, recognizing it's out of date, let it go. So the Venus-Jupiter opposition that's coming up on the 3rd of November, that's also really a strong one, because Jupiter is obviously a ruling planet, and Jupiter is going through the 7th at the moment, really showing that we may well find the people in our life are so joyful and so into having their fun and stuff, and their patterns are so much bigger that all of our attention is going over here. And actually, really what we want to be doing is paying some attention to us. We've got Venus going through our first house right now, and isn't that nice? This is a time when we come back into I think our attractiveness. We are developing a much more beautiful way of being. We are looking after ourselves. We are kinder to ourselves. And so as these pools go, it's important, but it's not tragic. You're trying to look after yourself, and somebody is trying to get your attention. But most likely they're benevolent and fun people in your life. So, what I would say is do both. don't choose, but just say, okay, right now I'm looking after myself, but I'm going to go and have a heck of a fun time with this person in this week ahead. So I think you'll get through this quite easily. Saturn then, in the fourth, is also saying, well, why are you focusing on yourself and also having fun? Really, your attention needs to be here. So any way that you can manage Saturn and put him back in his box and kind of say, look, you need to deregulate at the moment, that would be really, really good. Because for now, I think it's really helpful for you to be in your own power and also enjoying yourself with other people, because it's where we are meeting other people. That's where we are learning our little patterns, because we see other people playing them out. This is a week ahead with oppositions. Oppositions, I think, come out the best when we see other people, we see how other people are handling it. That's where our main learning is. So there you go, Sagittarius. I hope you have a social, a reflective, an interesting week ahead where you can blitz some of these patterns, like really see them up close and personal, and make a clear decision about what you're going to stand for. Are you going to stand in your power? Truly stand in your power, standing for yourself, courageously being who you are, because I think you are. I think you're ready. So there you go. So have a great week. If I can be of any help, get in touch. All of my details are below. But if not, I'll catch you for next week's phenomenal reading, because boy, the astrology is very strong. Go figure. Anyway, lots of love. Catch you another time. Bye for now. So we're on to Capricorn. Hi, Capricorn. This is the reading for the forecast, taking you from October the 28th, that's Monday, right the way through to Sunday, the 3rd of November. And it's a big week. This is a spooky week. Obviously, I've put a spider in to emphasize that. But, we've got a new moon in Scorpio on the 1st of November. That's Friday. We've also got Halloween, which you might celebrate under a different guise. You might know it as All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day. You might you might celebrate that. You might also think of Samhain. There are loads of different sort of celebrations, but also customs associated with this time of year. And what I noticed that they all kind of share is this belief that the veils between our reality and every other reality are super thin. That we can contact our ancestors and that we feel that sense of connection. We're able to connect in much more intuitively. Our psychic awareness is so much stronger. So I think with that in mind, and the fact that we're in full view of our ancestors, it's absolutely important that we get life right, that we do it right, that we don't mess around with our karma, that, we are absolutely playing our best game that we can play. And this is important. I'm not going to talk about the nitty gritty in this, because that is captured in part 1 in the section called day-to-day forecast. I do a day by day forecast, sort of sharing what kind of activities are coming up and a little bit about the moon patterns. This, I'm going to be talking about the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine here. I'm also going to be talking about the Venus, Saturn and Jupiter T-square. I'm also going to be talking about the new moon in Scorpio. And lastly, or maybe not last, I might start off with this actually. I'm going to go on about the Mars-Pluto opposition. Now, whilst Saturn is your ruling planet, it's fascinating that the Mars and Pluto opposition are playing out across your 1st and 7th house. This is going to be the last one in the sign of Capricorn and Cancer. For the rest of our lives. The next one that's going to happen in January the 2nd or 3rd, and then April the 27th, they're going to be across Aquarius and Leo. So the Mars Pluto opposition is bloody. It has some very, very strong energies. And in terms of world energies, it shows a real big separation from self and also separation from others, and can also show a lack of humanity that we might have for other people. And so I want to talk about it a little bit because, both Pluto and Mars are the rulers of Scorpio, and that's where the new moon is. So that's a very big theme in this week ahead. But, this opposition can be nasty, and it's in a very, very prominent place for your week ahead. So it deserves a little bit of unpacking. So we've got like the two energies, Mars, which is what we will do to assert ourselves, how we take our power back, how we stand in our power, how we are courageous, how we stand up for something important, and Mars is straightforward. It's not wanting to manipulate things. Mars just knows what it wants and stands for it. Whereas Pluto is a very different energy. Pluto, reportedly kidnapped Persephone. He steals, he takes advantage of people. He will go to the lengths, whatever lengths he wants to get what he wants. He's not going to worry. You might not kidnap somebody. Hopefully nobody watching this show kidnaps anybody to get what they want. Because we all, we won't take the Pluto energy to that level. We will all have a level of what we're comfortable doing, and then what doesn't feel honorable. But the Pluto archetype just wants power and wants his own ways, like a toddler that is about to throw all of his toys out the cot. This is a toddler energy that would destroy the world in a heartbeat, if he wanted to. Pluto is a law unto himself and doesn't want to be told what to do. And so we've got this archetype playing out in us, that side of us that actually will take the honorable road, or the one that we do on our own, where we independently stand for something, we independently take, make a decision. And then we've got the Pluto side of us, which we all have, and we're all probably quite ashamed to talk about it. And in fact, very few people talk about it, but we've all been manipulators. We've all been manipulated. We've all done things we're not proud of. We've all done things most likely under the influence of different substances, and then being able to say, oh, it was the booze. Oh, it was this. But, there's lots of different things going on where things aren't clear, and Pluto has a whole heap of excuses and doesn't mind using any of them. In fact, Pluto doesn't feel like he has to answer to anybody. So Pluto can bring up a really, really shitty behavior, really unpleasant behavior. And again, we've all got Pluto in our chart, and we've all got Mars in our chart, So what this is really showing right now is that there is a very strong need to get your needs met. And especially in the first house, it's like, I need to survive in my body. And Mars over here is, I need to survive in my relationships. I need to survive. My need to survive is more important than everyone else's. My need to survive, I will stand for my need for my relationships. So we've got this very sort of like different energy. And, my question to you, and I'm sure you're already over the Mars side, which is, I am confident enough that I have the ability. And this is the thing, that I think this is how Pluto comes about, because the manipulations start, when you think about your parents manipulating you with their little white lies in childhood, it's most likely because they didn't know how to cope with being truthful. They didn't know how to get their needs met by being honorable, upright and upstanding and normal. Like, they've learned manipulations from other manipulators, etc., and it gets passed down. And so as a child, where we don't feel like we have the power to stand for ourselves and to make something work, like we might have to steal something because we can't afford it, or we might have to take somebody else's thing because we don't think we can have it, or we don't think we'll be allowed it. We do these manipulative things. And so it's that kind of energy that is going off right now. And so this is really being pulled, and you might not see it so much in your life, but you might see it in around you, where you're seeing people do stuff that is absolutely untrue, that's absolutely full of lies, full of manipulations, and you've got this week ahead, and you've got your life where you can make your choice and decide whether you are for it or whether how you relate to it. So I think this is an ongoing thing, and I think you have a lot more courage in yourself to resolve your relationships than to get your personal needs met. And so that might be something worth looking at. Why do you feel like you might be better at handling relationships than actually like good at getting your personal needs met? So that's something to really look at. The Venus, Saturn, Jupiter square then, because Saturn is your ruler, you know, Saturn here in the third house is wanting you to be important in your local environment. You know, Venus here in your 12th is actually smoothing things over a little bit, helping you to be a bit more forgiving about some of your thoughts, not being so much in a place of fear, which I think is really helpful. Jupiter in your 6th is just showing that you're really, really busy, and is bringing a lot of stuff into your home. So I think this T square is less about conflict and actually more about the flow of what happens when you are active in your community, when you're in a place of forgiveness and flow, and how that impacts your life. So to me, it feels like it's quite a busy week, especially with your ruler here. It definitely feels like there's a lot going on. And, you know, because you're so busy, you might not stop to realize the connections that you have with yourself and with others. So it is worth appreciating everyone that comes into your life. The Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine is interesting, you know, because these are, again, very, very social houses. You know, your confidence in making your relationships work and smoothing things out is also kind of dreamy. Like it feels like there's a dreaminess, an unboundaried kind of good feeling in terms of the community you find yourself in. And then Mercury up here in this place of contacts, I think is bringing in a lot of opportunities. So I think it's really important that even though this is a time to think about your personal needs and possibly where you've manipulated things to get things to work for you, I also think this is a time to still be very aware of your social impact and how important it is for you to be out in the social world, because there's stuff changing. You know, there are opportunities coming in. And of course, if you're generating opportunities through just being your social self, then it's much easier to get your needs met. You don't have to fight for them so much. You don't have to engage in some of the more childlike behaviors that you might have grown up with and retained into your adulthood, which, you know, I'm pretty sure we've all got some of those. So what I'm saying here is this week, I think, has the promise that the more social you are, the more involved and interactive you are, the more likely you are to actually getting your needs met naturally rather than having to fight for them. And that really brings me on to the last point, which is about the new moon in Scorpio. You know, to me, you have got this opportunity to start over and to have much better friends, much better people around you. It's a time of communion. It's a time of brotherhood and sisterhood. And I think you've got just the right attitude to build the right kind of community around you. In fact, networks around you. I think this is a time when you are kind of sharing dreams with people. So I hope that's helpful in exploring some of this really deep energy at this very transparent and unveiled time. So there you go. I hope you have a great week ahead. And, you know, next week's astrology is kind of off the wall. So maybe join me for that too. In the meantime, if I can be of any help, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. Just have to invite me to work with you. And it's as simple as that. So there you go. Have a great week ahead and catch you another time. Bye for now. Okay, Aquarius. So this is your forecast for the week ahead. This is not a day-to-day one. You can check that out in the day-to-day forecast earlier in this video, where I do talk about the moon placements and also all of the major planetary alignments in the week ahead and what you might want to do on each day. In this particular forecast, I'm really looking at the big patterns. So the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine that's going on all week. The Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square that's also going on all week. The new moon in Scorpio that's taking place on the 1st of November at 9 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. And also the Mars-Pluto opposition, which is important to you actually because there are going to be 3 of them in this particular set. Like usually they're all done and dusted within a week. But this one, because Mars is going retrograde and the retrograde is fitting into this opposition, we've got 3 oppositions. This one on the 3rd of November between Cancer and Capricorn. And then on the 2nd or 3rd of January, we've got a Mars-Pluto opposition between Leo and Aquarius. And then on the 27th of April, another one from Leo and Aquarius. And actually all of these oppositions now, these Mars and Pluto oppositions, are going to be across Leo and Aquarius for the next 20 years. So this is going to be quite interesting because, you know, Pluto is going to be in your first house. This is the start of a whole new pattern for you. So that's important to talk about. I will briefly mention Saturn. He's in one of these patterns. Uranus, I'm not really going to talk about, I don't think, because he's not really showing up this week in a big way. So let's get cracking. First thing I want to go to is the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine, which I think is really helping you talk about things that are important, take action about these things that are important, and to dream a little bit, you know, to feel the joy of the dream of it all, you know, to really enjoy the creative flow and to be able to take action on it. It's really, really helpful. And these are happening across your 2nd, 6th and 10th houses, which I think of as places of achievement. You know, the 2nd house is where we're earning. The 6th is, you know, the day-to-day grind of it. And the 10th is kind of our vision, our career, our legacy. And so to me, it just feels like this week ahead is a really beautiful balance of intuitive, communicated action that is helping you in your career, your earnings, and how your whole life flows. So that's great. You know, keep doing that. Know that that is something that's going on and don't hide from it, is my advice. Then we've got Venus, Saturn and Jupiter in a T-square. So Saturn, you know, a ruling planet, is in the 2nd house. Really, Saturn in this part of your chart is trying to help you get more firm in how you're earning money, get more correct, get everything signed up and legit. You know, are you doing everything by the books? Are you paying your taxes and stuff like that? And also, how can you consolidate your power in terms of what you're earning? You know, in terms of your job, are you at the pinnacle of it? You know, Saturn here is really teaching us habits to help us in this way. Saturn is also showing us where we might need to raise our level of self-esteem. You know, so he's showing patience and determination and showing you the lessons that you need to do. So there might be some tasks involved in boosting your self-esteem. You know, this might be something that is what you're working on right now. And I think it's good work. It's important work. Now, what is easing, you know, what is also playing into this is we've got this opposition between Jupiter here and Venus here. Now, you know, to me, this is speaking about the abundance of creativity that you've got right now. So, you know, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of creativity that you've got, lots of things that light you up, that make you feel really passionate about life, and really wanting to have fun and to create for yourself. And then Venus up here is bringing in lots of opportunities from people around you. It's like people respect you, they like your energy, and so they're wanting to relate to you in a much greater way. And so these two are absolutely kind of stressing you out. They're taking you out of the game of your earnings. You know, on the one hand, like, you've got your earnings and you've got your job, and yet there are networks and friends kind of pulling you away and say, but what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And so it's hard to really knuckle down and to focus. And then on the other hand, Jupiter down here is like, yeah, but this lights me up so much more. This is so much more fun. And so what you might find with this week ahead is that there is this feeling of wanting to work for yourself more, and work for the things that feel like fun rather than doing the thing that brings in money. And yeah, I mean, that could be critical, but it might not be. You know, lots of people earn money by doing what they love doing. So it's not impossible at all, but it might not quite fit in with your way of doing things. So, you know, that's an ongoing stress. But remember that we've also got Mercury, Mars and Neptune showing that you've got the ability, the strength, the communication and the creativity to put some things together. So that's something worth not worrying about, but considering. Now, the opposition between Pluto and Mars is interesting, you know, because Pluto's right at the tail end of his stay here in your 12th house. And I'm sure you'll be pleased when he leaves, Although having said that, he'll be going into your first house. I think Pluto is easier to work with in the first than in the 12th, because the 12th house is a place of our fears and our insecurities, and Pluto really exploits them and can make us feel very weak there. When Pluto comes into the first, you're going to feel a lot more strident and a lot more, ready to do things for yourself. A lot more ready to serve yourself, and to feel confident doing it. So, as changes go, I'm not so worried about that for you. I think it's just a new part of your evolution. But the opposition between Pluto and Mars is a bit difficult. Mars here is really wanting you to stand strong for what you believe in. He wants to get his own way, but is not going to manipulate or connive to get his right way. Mars is going to put his own energy into what he wants to achieve, and he'll just get on and do it. And Mars here really helps you move forwards in your life. I mean, it's really beneficial. Mars in the 6th is like having a bomb underneath your butt. It really helps you get things moving. Whereas Pluto in the 12th is showing that, like, when you don't feel like things are moving, that there are old programs coming up. Ones where you might have experienced manipulation, ones where you might have used manipulation to get your own way. And it almost feels like there's manipulative ways out to get what you need. Now, I think it's worth challenging yourself whenever you're feeling inner manipulations coming up. And they're really hard to spot because they seem so easy and natural to do. But one way of spotting them is if you notice that when you're saying things about what you need and people are moving away from you, it's a good, clear sort of indication that people are feeling manipulated. When people move away from you, it feels like there's a racket. When people are coming closer to support you, there's no racket. So to me, watch and observe what's going on in your life. Are you pulling people closer to you, or are you repelling people? And if you are, what's going on for you at that time? I really think you've got a chance to eliminate some really core belief system that could be really playing up and not being very helpful to you. So, watch what's going on. Any time when you're thinking about taking the easy way out rather than doing the hard work that feels good and that you don't feel like you have to hide from, like if you feel like you take some action but then feel like, I hope no one finds out about that, then it's an indication that you've not been working in your best interest. You've been working against yourself. Whereas if you think, damn, I did that really good, I don't mind if people know I've done that, then that's fantastic. So yeah, watch what's playing, watch what is driving you, and be really, really conscious that around Halloween, that's Thursday the 31st, and into the new moon on the 1st, which I'll talk about in just a second, this is a time of change, and this is the time when you want to be using your best energy in the best way. And feeling the big hurrah from all it's in this part of your chart to do with your career. This is a great time to make some clear adjustments in what you're expecting and what you're wanting, and to set yourself some clear intentions. Your courage to stand for who you are, this Mars energy here, is going to help you. So use that energy to focus on what is going to work for you. And you might even get to the bottom of whether you're going to create for yourself or continue creating for other people. So there you go. I hope that's helpful, Aquarius. Have a great week ahead. If I can be of any help, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. All you have to do is just invite me to work with you. But yeah, have a good one, and maybe catch you next week, because we've got some pretty wild astrology. So there you go. Lots of love. Bye for now. Hey there, Pisces. So this is your forecast for the oncoming week, starting Monday, the 28th of October, and taking you right the way through to Sunday, the 3rd of November. Now, the thing to focus on with this, I think, is this is an energetic week. This is a week of weird energies. I don't know if you've noticed this before, but, around the time of Halloween, Samhain, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, the Day of the Dead, there's so many different names for this time. There is a thinness of veils. There is an energy that lots of people can tap into. This is a natural time of passing and arriving. This is an interesting time. And for somebody like you that's got very strong instincts, this could be a time that really lifts you up, that you could use in a brilliant way for yourself. Or this is also a time where you could maybe do yourself some disservice if you don't get your energies right. Now, what I want to focus on in this is these 4 things. If you want the nitty gritty of what to do each day or what would help you, then go to the day-to-day forecast in part 1. That's really, really helpful. There's loads of information there. But this is specifically about the Pisces energy. And to explore that, I'm going to look at the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine here. I'm also going to talk about the Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square here. I'm also going to talk about the new moon in Scorpio that's happening on the 1st of November. That's Friday the 1st. I'm going to be doing a separate video about that as well. And then finally, the Mars-Pluto opposition. This seems really important to focus on. Now, Jupiter and Neptune are coming up. These are your 2 ruling planets, and they are in these 2 big patterns. So they are part of things. This is an interesting week for you. So the Mars, Neptune, Mercury trine. Here we've got Neptune, which, as I'm sure you know, has been in your sign for a really long time. This is bringing more soulfulness, and spirituality. This is very unboundaried. It's creating a sense of possibility, but sometimes a bit of confusion as to how to use all this energy. There's just a sense that there is this huge energy that you can tap into. Then there's Mercury in the sign of Scorpio, in a lovely trine with it. And then you've got Mars in a lovely trine with it in the sign of Cancer. So Mars is giving you this lovely boost of energy and clarity and direction. Mars is wanting to take action on your intuition and your sensitivity. Mercury here is showing you how you can communicate like some really deep things about spirituality, about God, about life. Mercury is absolutely showing you how you are part of the eternal flow of light versus dark, of everything. In fact, Mercury is in such an elevated position here, and working with Mars, it's like you can take action on your thoughts and your creativity. So this is really beneficial and going on all week. And I see this as helping you get more creative, more expanded and adventurous, and to feel a greater sense of release in yourself. Then we've got this Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square going on. Now, Venus is in opposition to Jupiter all week, but doesn't come into the full opposition until Sunday, the 3rd of November. However, this energy is going on all week. And as you might know, Saturn and Jupiter are in a square. So what is this going on? So we've got Saturn going through your 1st house, creating this sense of needing a bit more structure in your life, needing a bit more certainty in your life. Jupiter down here in the 4th is really crying out for a bit more fun in your life, a bigger family life, more a greater feeling of connection and flow with your family, possibly some movement as well. And then Venus up here is really showing the desire to slink around and to feel pretty good and pretty connected and really appreciated in terms of your work. So it's interesting. It's like you've got these 3 energies, one coming to yourself, really wanting to rewire you, one coming in to make your home so much more magnificent and bigger and better than it's ever been. And then this one up here, which is really wanting to enjoy the nice things about your career, enjoy the swooning, the wining and dining and all that kind of stuff. So it feels conflicted. I have to say, as conflictions go, I think when you work hard on one of these, the others are automatically benefit. So for instance, when you're working on your home, making your home more comfortable and more secure and maybe a bit bigger and having more people come in, it strengthens your heart. It strengthens your core in yourself. Everyone likes to live in a nice house. that is good for us as humans. And when we're feeling good in our house, we feel good in our career. It kind of reflects out. Similarly, when everything's going well at work, that tends to reflect at home and reflect in our body. And of course, if we work on building our body up, that also reflects these ways as well. So as conflicts go, I don't think this is too tragic. But what I do see is that it's a lot of hard work and a feeling of confliction, like you want to be in a few different places at once. As problems go, there can be much bigger ones. So I would take that if I were you. So yeah, we've got this feeling of sort of the creative adventure and what comes from that, and also the slight confusion of where to put your energies. But this new moon, I think, can really help to define where you want to put your energies. And that new moon is really emphasizing the adventure, the greater context, being out of your usual environment, being somewhere unknown, being somewhere where you're learning something new, studying, like doing something different. All of that is really highlighted. There's a real lust for what you can learn and what new information can bring you and what a new scenario can bring you. So I really see that this new moon on the 1st of November is a time to connect into what you really want and like what changes you might need to bring in to make that happen. Now, so, the day before we've got Halloween and Halloween, you've got Pluto, you've got Mars, and actually the moon is exactly in a T-square with them, really emphasizing this kind of Scorpio energy, because both Pluto and Mars are rulers of Scorpio. So, I think around the time of Halloween, where the veils are really thin, is a time to maybe speak to your ancestors and say, look, I want a bigger context. I want a bigger life. I want to experience more right now. I need your help. Show me clues. Give me contacts. Put me in touch with people. Throw opportunities my way. So, honor your roots. Honor where you've come from. Let your ancestors know that you are standing for something new in your family, that you want to bring something new and fresh and exciting into your family, that you're the advocate for that, and expect the help to come through. So this is a time where your belief in the connection to others and the belief in your good energies, that's going to move you forward. So I'm really excited about that for you. Use this new moon in a way that's going to help you. Now, the last thing that I want to focus on, and that's the relationship between Pluto and Mars, because they are both archetypes within us. Both of them want to survive. Both of them want to have their own way. Mars is where we make our own way. We make our own choices, coming from our inner strength, coming from a place of, this is what I'm going to do. I'm standing for this. I'm independent in this. This is my job, and he gets on and does it. The Pluto way is I think the way that we learn as children from our parents. God bless them, because they taught us manipulations from an early age. And they were taught their manipulations from an early age. And let's face it, we've learnt those from news media. We've learnt those from film. We've learnt them from our cultural context, that it's okay to sometimes be deceptive to get our own way. And when you think about people who are right at the top of the tree, what lengths have they gone to have things go their way? You might not be prepared to go to the same lengths as other people would to get the success they're wanting. But really, Pluto here is talking about how far will we go to get our own way and what that might mean. This is a very strong opposition, and it's really kind of tempting you, I think, to maybe do something that might not be in your best interest in terms of your networks or your friends, to step over somebody to get the power, or to manipulate yourself, like manipulate others to get more strength around your networks. Or you might find that there is somebody in your neighborhood, somebody in your network that appears to be climbing over you to get what they want. And so it's that feeling of manipulation coming from friendships and networks that's a little bit difficult to swallow right now, when in fact you're really wanting to stay really clear and clean on your little energetic pathway of standing and saying, this is what I'm passionate about. This is where I stand. This is what I'm going to do. And so these archetypes are strong. This is coming up a few times in the next 6 months, of what lengths will you go to have things your way. It's a bit worrying and concerning that this is happening on the 3rd of November, right before the American elections, but also at a time when, people around the world are warmongering and also talking about illness. Both war and illness are the most profitable things, to make money for people in the world. And so you almost see where that's going, that there is this feeling that there's something out there tipping the balance, like not working in the interest of humanity. So I really do think, the above, as above, so below really, really works. And so the more you can work through your inner child that would go to all lengths to have their own way, the better off we'll all be, because that will resonate out. So that's one of the reasons why I'm sharing this message. So there you go. I hope that's helpful for you, Pisces, in the week ahead. This is absolutely about how you can feel empowered. And I just really see that your greatest empowerment is from having your own mind, and being on the great adventure, especially around the time of the new moon. So I hope that's helpful. Sending you lots and lots of love. And yeah, if I can be of any help, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. You can just invite me to work with you. But, catch up with me next week when we're going to go even deeper into this rather crazy astrology that we've got right now, and see what's coming up. So there you go. Lots and lots of love to you. Catch you real soon. Bye for now. So there you go. I'm at the end of my forecast from the 28th of October to the 3rd of November. I really want to thank everyone that sent me messages in this last week, because I've been a bit poorly, and I'm going to actually I'm going to record something about what was going on, because it fits into a couple of different patterns. Definitely some astrological patterns in my birth chart and my Chiron return, but something much bigger and that's really close to my heart, which is about healing. And the importance of healing and how true healing takes place. It's suffice to say, I'm on a healing journey right now, and I've been exploring different modalities of healing, and got up close and personal with them. But I really, really appreciate all of your lovely, positive comments and support. It really kept me going. And I'm sorry, I felt so sick that I couldn't even respond. I was just in bed for a really long time. And then I've been playing catch up for the last couple of days. So anyway, sending you loads of love. I hope, this was quite a heavy reading today, but I really see that this Mars and Pluto opposition is the big guns. And I see this as, we're realizing stuff about ourselves. And the sooner we realize it about ourselves and forgive ourselves and love ourselves, the sooner we can feel more integrated and connect with each other at a much greater level. The level of polarity and mischief that people have put into this world in terms of separating people for all sorts of reasons is shocking. So I really see that working through these very uncomfortable oppositions is kind of what we must all do right now. But that's my mission. It doesn't have to be yours, but I do think it's a worthy cause, is to work through all of the things that aren't integrated in us, so that it vibrates out and that we can forgive, we can move on, and we can work together. So anyway, yeah, that's my ulterior motive. That's the level I'll go to try and get my way met. Anyway, loads of love to you. Take care. Have a great week ahead. And hopefully I'll catch up with you real soon. Bye for now. Mwah.